Chapter 10-12. You don't want anything now. You will know in a while. In response to Ji Zhangquan's question, Ji Bisheng's expression was grave as he warned him with a heavy tone. Ji Zhangquan did not ask any further. He was even more curious about Mo Qingyun's identity now. Soon, Ji Bisheng and Ji Zhangquan arrived at the Ji family's meeting hall. Coincidentally, Ji Huixiong and the others were here at this moment. They seemed to be discussing something. Seeing Ji Huixiong and the rest in the hall, Ji Bisheng and Ji Bisheng bowed respectfully and sat down on the chairs at the side. Then, Ji Bisheng asked Ji Zhangquan to tell everyone how he had offended Mo Qingyun without missing a single word. After hearing about Ji Zhangquan, Ji Huixiong and the rest were furious. They looked at Ji Zhangquan fiercely. Seeing Ji Huixiong and the rest's reaction, Ji Zhangquan was sure that if Ji Bisheng was not here, Ji Huixiong and the rest would have torn him apart. After realizing this, Ji Zhangquan's fear of Mo Qingyun increased. Humph! Ji Bisheng, you have raised a good son. Ji Huixiong glared at Ji Zhangquan, coldly snorting as he reprimanded him. It just so happens that we are preparing to meet our master. Bring your son along and follow us to the Yan capital palace. After Ji Huixiong finished speaking, he ignored Ji Bisheng and walked out of the meeting hall. Yes. Hearing Ji Huixiong's angry words, Ji Bisheng nodded guiltily and quickly followed with Ji Zhangquan. Yan capital palace. After Yi Mei-er and Mo Qingyun arrived at the Yan capital palace, she parted ways with Mo Qingyun. With regards to Yi Mei-er's actions, Mo Qingyun did not care too much and went straight to Yi Jingtian's residence. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived at Yi Jingtian's residence. At this moment, Yi Jingtian was discussing something with an old man. Qingyun, you're here. When Yi Jingtian saw Mo Qingyun, he smiled warmly and waved at Mo Qingyun. Come and sit with me. Just a while ago, Elder Duanmu and I were talking about you. Senior Duanmu? Looks like they're from the Burning Heaven Hall. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun turned to look at the old man and nodded politely. Divine Ability Level 6. When Mo Qingyun nodded to the old man's expression suddenly changed, revealing an intense shock. This old man was none other than Duanmu 1-er's great-grandfather, Duanmu Honglai, a Level 4 Divine Ability expert. From what he knew of Mo Qingyun, although Mo Qingyun's talent was extraordinary, Mo Qingyun's cultivation did not seem to have reached such a shocking level. A 6th-level transcendent expert was already at the pinnacle of the pyramid in the entire Jin province. Divine Ability Level 6. After learning about Mo Qingyun's cultivation from Duanmu Honglai, Yi Jingtian's face was filled with horror. He was shocked by Duanmu Honglia's words. When he saw Mo Qingyun the last time, although he had asked about Mo Qingyun's cultivation, Mo Qingyun had only given him an ambiguous answer. Therefore, Yi Jingtian had always thought that Mo Qingyun's cultivation should be similar to Yi Wuyo's. He truly did not expect that Mo Qingyun's current cultivation had actually already reached such a terrifying level. After calming down, Yi Jingtian revealed a gratified smile. He patted Mo Qingyun's shoulder and pretended to be unhappy. You're still the same as before. You like to hide your cultivation so well. You even hid your cultivation from your uncle. In response to Yi Jingtian's words, Mo Qingyun only smiled faintly and didn't explain further. Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't speak, Yi Jingtian revealed a curious expression. He looked at Mo Qingyun and asked, Qingyun, is there a reason why you came to look for me today? There is indeed a reason. Later, I will introduce the Ji clan to Uncle Yi. In response to Yi Jingtian's question, Mo Qingyun didn't hide anything and directly explained to Yi Jingtian. The Ji clan? Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yi Jingtian's expression changed slightly. He quickly understood Mo Qingyun's intention. At this moment, Duanmu Honglai smiled faintly when he heard Yi Jingtian's words. Originally, I was worried that the Ji clan of Qingzhou would bring a lot of trouble to Jingtian if they moved to Flame Capital. Now that little friend Mo is here, I am completely relieved. Duanmu Honglai was at the peak of level 4 divine power. Although his cultivation was more than enough to deal with the Ji clan, he wasn't as confident as Mo Qingyun. Uncle Yi, get ready. I think the Ji clan should be arriving soon, Mo Qingyun said in a deep voice. All right. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yi Jingtian nodded his head. He stood up and followed Mo Qingyun to the Imperial Palace Conference Hall. Not long after Mo Qingyun and the other two entered the Imperial Palace Conference Hall, the Ji clan arrived. When they entered the Imperial Palace Conference Hall, they were all terrified. Ji Huixiong greets Master. Ji Mingtang greets Master. Ji Guoxin greets Master. Seeing Mo Qingyun at the top of the hall, Ji Huixiong and the rest didn't dare to hesitate. They immediately knelt down and kowtowed to Mo Qingyun. Master? Seeing the Ji clan's actions, other than Yi Jingtian, Duanmu Honglai and Ji Zhangquan were shocked. However, after Duanmu Honglai recovered from his shock, he regained his composure. He had heard of Mo Qingyun's shocking actions in the Jin province. Mo Qingyun could even remove the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. It wasn't surprising that he could subdue the Ji clan. Duanmu Honglai could calm down, but Ji Zhangquan couldn't. He was completely dumbfounded. The Ji clan's patriarch and elders had become Mo Qingyun's servants. Not long ago, he had acted tough in front of Mo Qingyun and threatened to teach Mo Qingyun a lesson. This was simply provoking the Almighty. Kneel down now. Looking at the stunned Ji Zhangquan, Ji Bishing was terrified. He hurriedly scolded Ji Zhangquan. Greetings. Greetings, Master. At Ji Bishing's shout, Ji Zhangquan's legs turned to jelly. He knelt down before Mo Qingyun and begged for mercy. Master, I was blind before. Please spare my worthless life. On account of the Ji clan's allegiance to me, I will spare your life today. Looking at the begging Ji Zhangquan, Mo Qingyun said calmly. Then, he changed the topic and said, however, with your arrogant personality, having a cultivation level will only harm you. From now on, you will be an ordinary person. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ji Bishing quickly understood what he meant. Without hesitation, he attacked Ji Zhangquan's dantian. Under Ji Bishing's attack, Ji Zhangquan's dantian was instantly destroyed. He would become a cripple from now on. However, he knew that if he didn't do this, Ji Zhangquan would die today. Chapter 10:13. Father, seeing that his dantian had been destroyed by Ji Bishing's palm, Ji Zhangquan's face contorted in agony. He couldn't believe that this was real. His biological father had actually made a move against him and destroyed his dantian, turning him into a cripple from now on. Ji Bishing ignored Ji Zhangquan's reaction. Instead, he said solemnly, "Hurry up and thank Master for sparing your life." Hearing Ji Bishing's words, Ji Zhangquan understood Ji Bishing's intention. His father was saving his life. Although Ji Zhangquan was very unwilling in his heart, he did not wish to die yet. Helpless, he could only kowtow to Mo Qingyun and beg for mercy, saying, "Many thanks for Master's grace of not killing me." Because of Mo Qingyun's words, he had become a cripple. However, he still had to express his gratitude to Mo Qingyun. This punishment was too cruel for Ji Zhangquan. Mo Qingyun did not pay any attention to Ji Zhangquan's actions. Instead, he looked coldly at Ji Huixiong and the rest and said, "Ji Huixiong, in the future, all matters regarding your Ji family in Yen City must be discussed with Uncle Yi and Ling Luo. You must not act on your own. Otherwise, I will definitely order people to wipe out your Ji family." Yes. We will definitely remember Master's instructions. Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Ji Huixiong and the rest hurriedly nodded their heads. They didn't dare to disobey. Seeing Ji Huixiong's performance, Mo Qingyun nodded his head in satisfaction. He then gave Ji Huixiong and the rest some instructions. After giving Ji Huixiong and the rest some instructions, Mo Qingyun had a simple conversation with Yi Jingtian before leaving the palace's meeting hall. Young friend Mo, please wait for a moment. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Duanmu Honglia's face instantly revealed a nervous expression. He chased after Mo Qingyun. Elder Duanmu, why did you call for me? Seeing that Duanmu Honglai had caught up to him, Mo Qingyun asked Duanmu Honglai with a puzzled expression. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Duanmu Honglai revealed an awkward expression. He muttered to himself for a moment before saying, "Little friend Mo, this old man previously said that Qingyun Palace has established a sect on the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. Furthermore, Qingyun Palace has developed into a half-venerable force. I wonder if my Burning Heavens Hall can become a subordinate force of Qingyun Palace?" Thinking about how Qingyun Palace had become a half-venerable faction in just a few years, Duanmu Honglai sighed with emotion. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. His Burning Sky Palace had already been established for several thousand years. But even so, it was still only a force within a province of the great region. Hearing Duanmu Honglia's request, Mo Qingyun was slightly surprised. Then, he smiled faintly and said, "Putting aside the relationship between Uncle Yi and me, your granddaughter, Miss Wan has helped me before. Based on this point alone, I have no reason to refuse Elder Duanmu." If that's the case, this old man thanks little friend Mo. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Duanmu Honglai was pleasantly surprised. He hurriedly cupped his hands in thanks to Mo Qingyun. "Elder Duanmu, there's no need to be so courteous." Seeing Duanmu Honglia's actions, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand. He said, "Elder Duanmu, in 3 days, I will set off for the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain from Flame City. At that time, we will pass by the Jin province. Instruct the people of Burning Sky Palace to wait for me at the gate. We will set off for Qingyun Palace together." If that's the case, this old man will return to Burning Sky Palace and instruct everyone to pack up and wait for you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Duanmu Honglai no longer hesitated. After bidding farewell to Mo Qingyun, he set off for Burning Sky Palace. Seeing that Duanmu Honglai had left, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer and set off for the One Clan. "Ba Shui, now that the Demon Road is connected to the Heavenly Soul Continent, I'm worried that one day, demonic cultivators will come to Flame City to slaughter all living things. After I leave Flame City, you will stay in Flame City and protect Uncle Yi and Master for me." On the way back to the One Clan, Mo Qingyun considered the hidden dangers of the Demon Road and instructed Ba Shui, "When the time comes, if demonic cultivators come, you will lead them to Qingyun Palace." "Yes, Master." Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Ba Shui didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest and hurriedly nodded in agreement. A moment later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the One Clan with Ba Shui and Ba Shui on his back. After arriving at the One Clan, Mo Qingyun handed over some things to One Song and the others before entering the 5 Directions Pagoda to cultivate. As time passed, the sense of urgency in Mo Qingyun's heart grew stronger and stronger. "Before the demonic cultivators invade on a large scale, my cultivation must break through to the high level of superpower as soon as possible." After entering the 5 Directions Pagoda, Mo Qingyun immediately took out a large amount of Jindan crystals, placed them around his body, and began to cultivate. Under the absorption of the Gate of Devouring, the Yuan energy within the Jindan crystals was instantly extracted and channeled into Mo Qingyun's body through the Gate of Devouring. Sensing the Yuan energy entering his body, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate to refine it and raise his cultivation. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. "Young lord, 3 days have passed. Grand Elder Long Eyebrows has already arrived at the residence." 3 days later, when Mo Qingyun was still immersed in cultivation, Wen Song sent him a soul message. After receiving Wen Song's soul message, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and left the Five Directions Pagoda. After leaving the Five Directions Pagoda, Mo Qingyun walked out of his room and said to Wen Song and the others who were waiting outside, "Since Grand Elder Long Eyebrows is here, let's set off." "Yes." After receiving Mo Qingyun's instructions, Wen Song nodded and immediately arranged for everyone to set off for the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. When Mo Qingyun and the others set off, Ba Shui and Ba Shui also silently left the Wen clan and went to the Imperial Palace to protect Yi Jingtian. Wen Song, after reaching the Jin region, let's make a trip to the Burning Sky Hall. When Mo Qingyun got on the demonic beast carriage, he instructed Wen Song so that they wouldn't leave the Burning Sky Hall behind. Yes. After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Wen Song nodded and continued to instruct everyone to set off. After Mo Qingyun entered the demonic beast carriage, he summoned his incarnation to take care of the matters on the way. As such, Mo Qingyun spent the rest of the time cultivating. After about half a month, Mo Qingyun and the others met up with the people from the Burning Sky Hall. "Mr. Mo, long time no see. Wan has always missed you." After the people from the Burning Sky Hall met up with Mo Qingyun and the others, Duanmu Wan entered Mo Qingyun's demonic beast carriage and smiled sweetly at the incarnation in the demonic beast carriage. Today, Duanmu Wan was wearing a low-collared silver gauze dress. A pair of snow-white bunnies poked half of their heads out mischievously. As Duanmu Wan walked, her body trembled and emitted a magical power that made people unable to shift their gaze away. It wasn't clear if Duanmu Wan did it intentionally or not, but after she greeted Mo Qingyun, she closed the distance between her and Mo Qingyun, and her body emitted a faint fragrance. Chapter 10:14. Mo Qingyun saw that Duanmu Wan had come to find him, and was even in the same carriage as him. Mo Qingyun was worried that Duanmu Wan would see through his disguise, so he sent a message to Wen Zhaodi and Wen Shaoli, asking them to come to the carriage as well. With the arrival of Wen Zhaodi and Wen Shaoli, Duanmu Wan's actions became more restrained and she no longer acted too flirtatiously towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun felt much better that Duanmu Wan no longer teased him. Mo Qingyun immediately felt better. Just like that, for the rest of the time. While Mo Qingyun had his incarnation chat with Duanmu Wan, he controlled his main body to concentrate and cultivate inside the Five Directions Pagoda. Perhaps because when Zhaodi and Duanmu Wan were in the carriage, Duanmu Wan returned to the Burning Skies Hall's carriage after a few days. Seeing Duanmu Wan leave the carriage, Mo Qingyun's mood became more relaxed. He didn't think too much about it and immersed himself in cultivation. After Mo Qingyun entered cultivation, Wen Zhaodi and Wen Shaoli guarded Mo Qingyun in the carriage so that Mo Qingyun wouldn't be disturbed during his cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. 7th level of the Divine Power Realm. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who was in the midst of cultivation, opened his eyes with a joyful expression. After 3 months of cultivation, his cultivation had finally risen from mid-stage 6th level of the Divine Power Realm to 7th level of the Divine Power Realm. Although his cultivation had broken through to 7th level of the Divine Power Realm, Mo Qingyun didn't stop there. Instead, he continued to cultivate and stabilize his realm. I hope that when I reach the Qingyun Palace, my cultivation will be able to enter 8th level of the Divine Power Realm. Once again entering cultivation, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile as a feeling rose in his heart. A few days later, after a few days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had completely stabilized. "Young lord, we're in trouble. There are many strange demonic beasts in front of us, and they're rapidly encircling us." At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to continue cultivating, Wen Song sent him a soul message. Strange demonic beast? Hearing this, Mo Qingyun was shocked. He stopped cultivating and left the 5 directional towers. Immediately, Mo Qingyun switched identities with his avatar, got up and walked out of the demonic beast carriage. At this time, when Zhaodi and Yi Zichen had already left the demonic beast carriage. Therefore, they did not notice that Emo Qingyun had switched identities with his avatar. Emo Qingyun walked out of the demonic beast carriage and saw countless demonic beasts surrounded by demonic qi approaching them. Demonic beast. After seeing these demonic beasts, Emo Qingyun's expression immediately became shocked, and his heart sank. He really did not expect to encounter so many demonic beasts on the way to the heavenly pool Sacred Mountain. After a short moment of shock, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer. His figure flashed and he arrived beside Duanmu Honglai and the others. "Senior Duanmu, how is everyone?" After arriving beside Duanmu Honglai, Emo Qingyun revealed a serious expression and asked about everyone's current situation. "Young friend Emo, you've finished cultivating." Seeing Emo Qingyun come to his side, Duanmu Honglai was pleasantly surprised. He greeted Emo Qingyun and said, "Everyone's situation is still all right. However, once these strange demonic beasts surround us, I'm afraid we'll suffer heavy losses." In Duanmu Honglia's opinion, with Emo Qingyun, a level 6 divine power expert, around, everyone would feel more confident. However, after Duanmu Honglai greeted Emo Qingyun, a look of shock appeared on his face. He exclaimed, "Emo? Little friend Emo, your cultivation has broken through to the 7th level of the divine power?" "Yes, I just broke through a few days ago." In response to Duanmu Honglia's question, Emo Qingyun did not hide it. He smiled faintly and nodded. After receiving confirmation from Emo Qingyun, the shock on Duanmu Honglia's face intensified. 3 months ago, when he saw Emo Qingyun's cultivation was only at the mid-stage of level 6 divine power. In just 3 months, Emo Qingyun's cultivation had broken through to level 7 divine power. Moreover, it was not just a breakthrough, but the peak of the early stage of level 7 divine power. This kind of cultivation speed was simply too fast. However, due to the special circumstances, Duanmu Honglai did not have much time to pay attention to Emo Qingyun's breakthrough. After a brief moment of shock, Duanmu Honglai revealed a serious expression and asked Emo Qingyun, "Young friend Emo, what should we do now? Should we retreat?" Seeing the distance between them and the devil beasts, Emo Qingyun's expression became even more serious. He said in a low voice, "These devil beasts are very strong. They are not something that the Burning Heavens Hall disciples can handle. Immediately protect the Burning Heavens Hall disciples and retreat. I will go and kill these devil beasts." Devil beasts? Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Duanmu Honglai was puzzled. He turned to look at Emo Qingyun and asked, "Young friend Emo, do you know the origins of these strange devil beasts?" Devil beasts, heavenly devils, half-devils, and human devils are all cultivators from the Devil Road of the 7 Great Ancient Road. In response to Duanmu Honglia's question, Emo Qingyun explained to them. He then instructed Wen Song, immediately gather the younger generation of the Wen clan and gather with the people of the Burning Heavens Hall. Everyone, retreat. I will go and kill these devil beasts that are blocking the way. Young friend Emo, although this old man's strength is limited, I am willing to clean up the devil cultivators with you. After learning of Emo Qingyun's plan, Duanmu Honglai revealed a determined expression. He wanted to go with Emo Qingyun to slay the devil beasts. We are also willing to slay the devil beasts together. Following Duanmu Honglia's words, Duanmu Yanghe and the others revealed determined expressions. They wanted to attack together with Emo Qingyun. No need. In response to Duanmu Honglai and the others' actions, Emo Qingyun immediately raised his hand to refuse. With a solemn expression, he said, "Among these devil beasts, there are some experts with high-level superpowers hidden. You will only distract me if you follow." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he no longer hesitated. His figure moved and charged toward the approaching devil beast. Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Duanmu Honglai and the others no longer insisted. They immediately gathered the younger generation of the Burning Heavens Hall and the Wen clan. While Duanmu Honglai and the others were gathering the younger generation, Mo Qingyun had already arrived in front of the devil beasts. He held the colorless sword in his hand and slashed at the devil beast. 9 origins as one. As Mo Qingyun slashed with his sword, a 9-colored sword radiance with surging momentum instantly erupted from the colorless sword. As soon as the 9-colored sword radiance was slashed out, it rapidly expanded. In an instant, it became a 100-meter-long half-moon sword radiance. The half-moon sword radiance was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived in front of the devil beast. The strength of these devil beasts was only at the heaven's strength realm. How could they resist the 9-colored sword radiance? Puff, puff, puff. Under the impact of the 9-colored sword radiance, thousands of devil beasts were slaughtered in an instant, creating a vacuum in the devil beast's army. Seeing this scene, Duanmu Honglai and the others were shocked. In their hearts, they were convinced by Mo Qingyun's strength. Chapter 10-15. While the crowd was still in shock, Mo Qingyun swung his sword several more times at the devil beasts that were coming from other directions. In the face of Mo Qingyun's 9-colored sword light, the devil beasts in other directions were the same. They were unable to put up any resistance and were killed on the spot. Soon, nearly half of the devil beasts that were surrounding Mo Qingyun and the others were slaughtered by Mo Qingyun. However, Mo Qingyun did not stop because of this. Instead, he continued to slaughter the remaining devil beasts. Puffed, puffed, puffed. Under the impact of the 9-colored sword light, wave after wave of devil beasts were slaughtered. Their bodies were blasted into a bloody mist, dyeing the sky red. However, Mo Qingyun's attack did not make the devil beasts retreat. Instead, it aroused their ferocious nature. In addition, the transcendent realm devil beasts behind these devil beasts also began to stir. Soon, the transcendent realm devil beasts rushed in front of Mo Qingyun and surrounded Mo Qingyun. As the transcendent realm devil beasts surrounded Mo Qingyun, the color of the sky began to change rapidly. Strange treasure elephants appeared in the sky. These devil beasts had all summoned their transcendent realm devil beasts. Looking at the transcendent realm devil beasts that covered the sky, Duanmu Honglai and the others were horrified. Their hearts began to tremble. According to their rough estimation, the number of transcendent realm devil beasts surrounding Mo Qingyun was probably in the thousands. A few thousand transcendent realm devil beasts, what a terrifying force it was. In the eyes of Duanmu Honglai and the others, even if all the transcendent realm experts in the Jin province were added together, they might not be able to reach such a number. This is troublesome. These devil beasts have all reached the transcendent realm. Moreover, there are more than 2,300 of them. Facing more than 2,300 transcendent realm experts, even if little friend Mo's cultivation is at the 7th level of the transcendent realm, I'm afraid it will be difficult to resist. If even little friend Mo can't resist, won't we all die here today? Looking at the densely packed devil beasts in the sky, Duanmu Honglai and the others' faces turned pale. A sense of despair rose in their hearts. With their strength, not to mention more than 2,000 devil beasts, even a single transcendent realm devil beast at the 6th level of the transcendent realm was enough to wipe them out. Looking at the panicked faces of the crowd, Wen Zhaodi had a firm expression. She said with a solemn expression on her face, "Everyone, don't worry. Young lords let us. I believe that young this time the young lords too. I. And heaven are of." That's right. We should all believe in little friend Mo. Hearing Wen Zhaodi and Duanmu Wan Er's words, Duanmu Honglai and the others' expressions changed. They kept nodding their heads in agreement. Wen Zhaodi and Duanmu Wan Er were right. At this moment, it was useless for them to be afraid. They could only believe that Mo Qingyun could create another miracle. Under the young lord's attack, those devil beasts are still unable to advance. When Xiaoli had an excited expression on his face as he watched Mo Qingyun fighting the devil beasts alone. The devil beasts had no power to resist. Hearing Wen Xiaoli's words, everyone's gaze turned towards Mo Qingyun. Then, their expressions revealed intense shock. They realized that under Mo Qingyun's attack, even devil beasts at the 7th level of the divinity realm were unable to resist Mo Qingyun's sword. Mo Qingyun's current cultivation was only at the 7th level of the divinity realm. Didn't this mean that Mo Qingyun had the power to instantly kill those at the same level? The young lord's strength is terrifying. Looking at the current situation, I'm afraid that even a 9th level divinity realm expert might not be his match. With little friend Mo's current potential, once he breaks through to the Supremacy realm, he will be unrivaled in the Heavenly Soul continent. Also, have you all noticed that little friend Mo hasn't summoned his divine ability treasure elephant yet? If that's the case, doesn't that mean that little friend Mo hasn't used his full strength yet? He's still holding back a portion of his strength. Seeing the scene before them, Duanmu Honglai and the others revealed excited expressions. The worry in their hearts lessened by a few degrees. At this moment, while everyone was focused on Mo Qingyun's battle, some of the devil beasts saw that they couldn't deal with Mo Qingyun and prepared to deal with Duanmu Honglai and the others. Scram back here. Seeing through the devil beast's intentions, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and grabbed at the devil beast. A terrifying wave of elemental energy blasted out. As soon as this violent Yuanli was released, it transformed into light blue palms and grabbed at those devil beasts. Under the grasp of the blue palms, the devil beasts that were attacking Duanmu Honglai and the others were crushed into pieces in midair. Looking at the devil beasts he killed and the corpses of the devil beasts that fell from the sky, Missouri Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He thought to himself, these devil beasts are all above the divinity realm. Wouldn't it be a waste to just throw away their corpses like this? If I bring these corpses back to feed Yemo, she should be able to break through to the next level. 5-directional pagoda, collect. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately summoned the 5-directional pagoda. As Mo Qingyun summoned the 5-directional pagoda, it emitted a dazzling 5-colored light and a powerful suction force. Under this suction force, the corpses of the devil beasts killed by Mo Qingyun were instantly sucked into the 5-directional pagoda. Then, the 5-directional pagoda floated above Mo Qingyun and continued to absorb the corpses of the devil beasts killed by Mo Qingyun. Thinking of using the corpses of the devil beasts to increase Yemo's strength, Mo Qingyun's attacks became fiercer and the speed at which he slaughtered the devil beasts became much faster. What happened next shocked Duanmu Honglai and the others. Under Mo Qingyun's attacks, the devil beasts were completely slaughtered. They were wantonly slaughtered by Mo Qingyun. 1,800, 1,700, 900, 800. Under Mo Qingyun's continuous attacks, the number of devil beasts surrounding Mo Qingyun decreased at a straight line. However, at this moment, while Mo Qingyun was immersed in slaughtering the devil beasts, 3 terrifying auras quietly approached him. Human brat, die. As the 3 terrifying auras approached Mo Qingyun, they no longer hesitated and attacked Mo Qingyun. Chapter 10:16. Teleportation Gate. Mo Qingyun didn't dare to be careless in the face of 3 attacks that were comparable to a half-venerable's attack. He immediately used the teleportation gate to dodge. As soon as the teleportation gate was formed, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and walked into the teleportation whirlpool. Then, Mo Qingyun's figure disappeared from the spot and avoided the 3 attacks that were comparable to a half-venerable's attack. After a while, when Mo Qingyun's figure appeared not far away, he clearly saw the people who attacked him. They were 3 half-venerable realm half-demons. Half-demons not only had the heavenly demon bloodline, but also the demonic beast bloodline. They were more powerful than heavenly demons and demonic beasts. They were the most difficult type of demon cultivator to deal with. 3 half-venerable realm half-demons. Looking at the 3 figures in front of him, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly and his expression became solemn. The 3 half-demons were very powerful. They were more than a level stronger than the blood demon demonic venerable who had chased after him before. Of course, Mo Qingyun's current strength was many times stronger than before. Although he was facing 3 half-venerable realm half-demons, he didn't panic. Human boy, if I'm not wrong, you're the one who killed the blood demon demonic venerable, right? A half-venerate with an octopus head and a human body said coldly as he sized up Mo Qingyun, who was before him. After the octopus-headed demi-venerable spoke, the lion-headed demi-venerable beside him opened his big lion mouth and said with a sinister smile, "Brat, our demi-demon race's 100 transformations demon child appreciates you very much. If you are willing to submit to him, he can bestow upon you a formidable demon race's bloodline and let you become a noble demi-demon." That's right. The blood demon demonic venerable was indeed killed by me. In response to the octopus half-venerable's question, Mo Qingyun didn't try to hide it and nodded. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, since the other party was able to guess that he was the one who did it, he must have obtained complete information. There was no point in blindly covering it up. After replying to the octopus half-sovereign's question, Mo Qingyun mockingly looked at the lion half-sovereign and said, "I'm not willing to submit to a half-devil. Besides, I don't want to become a human devil that has lost all consciousness. Brat, since you don't know what's good for you, then prepare to die." When he heard Mo Qingyun's reply, the snake-headed half-venerate uttered a sinister sentence. "Half-sovereign 8 tentacles, half-sovereign mountain shaking, since this brat doesn't know what's good for him, we don't need to talk nonsense with him." As soon as the snake-headed venerable finished speaking, he did not waste any more words with Mo Qingyun and immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. Light of petrification. A green light flashed in the snake-headed half-venerable's eyes and 2 rays of eye power shot out, bombarding Mo Qingyun. Seeing the snake-headed half-venerable attack, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate and hurriedly dodged. He could clearly feel that the snake-headed half-venerable's eyes contained an aura that made his heart palpitate. After Mo Qingyun dodged the attack of the light of petrification, the light of petrification slammed into a giant tree and instantly blasted a large gray hole in the giant tree. Crack, crack, crack. After the large gray hole appeared, the giant tree slowly turned gray, as if it had turned into a giant tree statue. Not only that, after the giant tree turned into a stone statue, the trees within a 100-meter radius also turned into stone statues. What a strange technique! Seeing the snake-headed half-venerable attack, Mo Qingyun was shocked and couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Mo Qingyun was very clear in his heart that if he had been hit by the light of petrification, he was afraid that today would have been the day he would die. "Half-venerable Dian Shi, half-venerable Jinshan and I will pin down this brat. You try to use the light of petrification to petrify him." Hearing the snake-headed half-venerable's words, 8-tentacled half-venerable immediately responded and entangled Mo Qingyun with half-venerable Jinshan. Not only that, when the 3 of them were dealing with Mo Qingyun, half-venerable Jinshan roared at the surrounding devil beasts, "Devil Clan sons, kill those humans for me now. When we return, this half-venerable will reward you handsomely." Roar, roar, roar. Receiving half-venerable Jinshan's instructions, the remaining devil beasts immediately roared towards the sky and emitted a soaring demonic aura. Senior Duanmu and the others are not people the devil beasts can deal with. We must not let the devil beasts get close to them. Seeing the devil beasts' performance, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly became solemn and a sense of nervousness rose in his heart. He said, "It seems that I can no longer hold back, I have to go all out. Fortune Mainland, smash it for me." Immediately, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately summoned the divine ability treasure elephant. As the Divine Ability Treasure Elephant was summoned, it emitted a terrifying pressure that covered the entire horizon, causing the light to dim in an instant. What is this? Could it be that brat's Divine Ability Treasure Elephant? How is this possible? How can the Divine Ability Treasure Elephant be so powerful? This mainland is too powerful, we must not let it attack the devil beasts. Otherwise, these devil beasts will die without a doubt. Seeing the appearance of the Fortune mainland, 8 tentacled half-venerable and the other 2 devil beasts' faces were filled with shock. Then, half-venerable Jinshan no longer hesitated and immediately punched towards the Fortune mainland, angrily saying, "Humph! Half-venerable doesn't care what you are, watch as I blast it to pieces with one punch." At this moment, when half-venerable Jinshan attacked, Duanmu Honglai and the others in the surroundings were also shocked. What is that? Little friend Mo actually brought out a mainland. There are actually living creatures on that mainland. How did little friend Mo do it? No, that's not right. That looks like the young lord's Divine Ability Treasure Elephant. I didn't expect the young lord's Divine Ability Treasure Elephant to be so powerful. For a moment, Duanmu Honglai and the others were dumbfounded on the spot, stunned by Mo Qingyun's Divine Ability Treasure Elephant. Then, under everyone's gaze, the Fortune mainland flew towards half-venerable Jinshan with a world-destroying momentum. Bang! The Fortune mainland emitted a 9-colored halo and collided with half-venerable Jinshan's fist. Instantly, a dazzling light bloomed and a deafening sound rang out. Half-venerable Jinshan blocked the Fortune mainland for a moment, but he was sent flying by the Fortune mainland, turning into a bright red blood mist. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded and stood rooted to the spot. A half-venerable master was actually blasted to pieces by Mo Qingyun's Divine Ability Treasure Elephant. While everyone was still in shock, the Fortune mainland continued to fly towards the remaining devil beasts without reducing its speed. Half-venerable Jinshan was unable to withstand the Fortune mainland's collision, not to mention these Divine Ability Realm devil beasts. Bang bang bang, facing the Fortune mainland's tyrannical collision, the remaining devil beasts were turned into blood mist, dissipating from the world in the blink of an eye. Watching this scene, everyone was once again dumbfounded, stunned by the scene in front of them. Chapter 10:17. All dead. Several hundred divine devil beasts were slaughtered by little friend Mo just like that. Looking at the devil beasts that had turned into blood mist, Duanmu Honglia's face was filled with shock and disbelief. Although Duanmu Honglai was shocked when the Fortune mainland had smashed into quasi-venerable mountain Shaking Mountain, it was merely an extreme shock. However, seeing the Fortune mainland smashing into several hundred divine devil beasts, Duanmu Honglai couldn't help but be terrified. Even if a venerable realm expert made a move, they wouldn't be able to kill several hundred divine devil beasts in a split second. Young Lord's strength really can't be judged by the surface. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Wen Song had a new understanding of Mo Qingyun's strength. He exclaimed in shock, "Young Lord is able to display such battle strength with his own cultivation. If he uses the Gate of Fusion, wouldn't he be able to battle a venerable realm expert?" Thinking that Mo Qingyun could battle a venerable realm expert, Wen Song's heart trembled, and his reverence for Mo Qingyun increased. Quasi-venerable mountain Shaking Mountain is dead? Several hundred divine devil beasts and several thousand heavenly Dipper realm devil beasts died just like that? Looking at quasi-venerable mountain Shaking Mountain and quasi-venerable mountain Shaking Mountain, quasi-venerable 8 tentacles and quasi-venerable mountain Shaking Mountain were dumbfounded. Before they came, they had already learned about Mo Qingyun's background and knew that Mo Qingyun's methods were very strange. However, they had never imagined that Mo Qingyun's strength would be so terrifying, and his methods would be strange to this extent. At this moment, while everyone was still shocked by Mo Qingyun's methods, Mo Qingyun retrieved the Fortune mainland back into his body. More than 400 divine devil beasts and one quasi-venerable realm half-devil were smashed into smithereens. It's a pity. Mo Qingyun sighed as he looked at the devil beast and half-step venerable mountain Jinshan, who had turned into a bloody mist in an instant. A feeling of pity rose in his heart. In his opinion, if he could collect these 400 or so transcendent realm devil beast corpses and let Qi Lian refine the blood of quasi-venerable mountain Jinshan, the strength of Qingyun Palace would definitely rise to a new level. If the surrounding people were to hear Mo Qingyun's words, they would definitely be shocked. Mo Qingyun was actually regretting that he didn't get the corpses of the devil beast and half-step mountain shaking. This thought was really astonishing. Die brat. Seeing Mo Qingyun kill the demonic beasts and demonic mountain shaking, demonic beasts, demonic master 8 tentacles and demonic master touchstone attacked Mo Qingyun once more. After witnessing Mo Qingyun's strength, the 8-touch demi-venerate and the stone demi-venerate did not dare hold back. Monolith domain. Ebony domain. The 8 tentacles half-venerate and half-venerate unleashed their own domains and enveloped Mo Qingyun. However, since their cultivations were only at the demi-venerate realm, their domains were not perfect. But even so, Mo Qingyun was deeply trapped in the Tu's domain, and his movements were greatly restricted. At this moment, Mo Qingyun clearly felt that his body seemed to have sunk into a hard rock, causing his limbs to be restricted and unable to move. In addition, the scene before Mo Qingyun's eyes became pitch black and he couldn't see anything. It was like waves of flowing ink. Under the flowing ink, Mo Qingyun quickly felt a sense of suffocation and dizziness. It was like an ordinary person who lacked air and couldn't breathe. Domain gate. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate and immediately unleashed the domain gate. As the domain gate was unleashed, the rocks and ink around Mo Qingyun slowly became thinner and disappeared bit by bit. Immediately, Mo Qingyun barely regained his mobility, but the space he could move in was extremely small, only about 2 cubic meters, barely enough for him to turn his body. This is a domain? Seeing Mo Qingyun unleash the domain gate, half-venerable Midas, who was outside the dark ink domain and monolith domain, was shocked. He revealed an expression of disbelief as he said, "This? How is this possible? This brat is only at the 7th level of the transcendent realm. How can he construct a domain space? This kid is too strange. If he doesn't die, he will definitely become a huge threat to our half-demon clan in the future." When he saw Mo Qingyun trapped within the domain of ink and monolith domain, half-venerable 8-touch's expression turned gloomy. He said to half-venerable stone beside him, "Half-venerable stone, take advantage of the fact that this kid can't move right now to use light of petrification on him and petrify him within the monolith domain and ink domain." Alright. Hearing 8-touch demi-venerable's words, Demi-Venerable no longer hesitated and immediately used Petrifying Light on Mo Qingyun. Petrifying Light. Demi-Venarable's eyes shone with a green light and shot out 2 rays of eye power towards Mo Qingyun. The petrifying light passed through the monolith domain and dark ink domain without any hindrance. In the blink of an eye, it approached Mo Qingyun. "Brat, let's see how you dodge this time." Seeing the petrifying light approaching Mo Qingyun, Demi-Venerable and 8-touch Demi-Venerable were proud, as if Mo Qingyun had already been petrified. Saber light from eye light. Seeing the petrifying light approaching rapidly, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately activated his heavenly soul demonic eye and shot out saber light from eye light. Then, the purple light in Mo Qingyun's eyes intensified and emitted a domineering aura. 2 purple saber lights burst out. The purple saber lights blasted out from Mo Qingyun's eyes and rapidly grew in size, heading towards the petrifying light. Puff, facing the attack of the saber lights, the petrifying light was instantly destroyed and scattered in all directions. Eye light. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance in the Monolith Domain and Ebony Domain, Half-Exalt Midpoint was immediately stunned. His face was filled with great surprise as he said, "I never thought that this kid would have such an ability. It looks like the information we gathered about him before was still too little." After saying that, Demi-Venerable didn't hesitate and used the petrifying light on Mo Qingyun again. Hidden door. However, when Demi-Venerable used the petrifying light, Mo Qingyun suddenly disappeared from the Monolith Domain and Dark Ink Domain. Seeing this scene, 8-Touch Half-Venerate and Half-Venerate were shocked. Panic appeared on their faces as they said, "This kid is too strange. He's not someone the two of us can deal with. Let's go back and report to the Demon Son of Myriad Transformations and wait for his next arrangement." Okay. 8-Touch Demi-Venerable nodded and agreed with Demi-Venerable's suggestion. Then, the two of them no longer hesitated and prepared to leave the place. Humph. Since they're dead, the two of you should stay too. Chapter 10:18. Sealed Door. With Mo Qingyun's help, a mini light door quickly formed in front of him. Once the mini light door was formed, it turned into a stream of light and blasted into Demigod Dian Shi's body. Then, the aura on Half-Venerate Dian Shi's body rapidly weakened. What is going on? Why is my spiritual soul and blood qi so strongly suppressed? After sensing the situation in his body, Demigod Dian Shi's expression changed drastically. He looked panicked. However, what happened next made him even more terrified. He realized that after his spiritual soul and blood qi were suppressed, his cultivation level began to drop. Soon, his cultivation level dropped from the demigod realm to the peak divine power realm. After discovering this, Stone Demigod Half-Exalted was deeply frightened. To him, this was not a good thing at all. 9 essences in 1. After suppressing Demigod Dian Shi's cultivation level, Mo Qingyun wielded the colorless sword and swung it at Demigod Dian Shi. A crescent-shaped 9-colored sword radiance instantly bloomed from the colorless sword and blasted toward Demigod Dian Shi. The 9-colored sword radiance was extremely fast and almost reached Demigod Dian Shi in an instant. Before Demigod Dian Shi could recover from his shock, the sword radiance had already slashed across his neck. Slash. Following that, a bright red mist of blood gushed out from Dian Shi Half-Exalted's neck, dyeing the air red. My head. Demigod Dian Shi widened his eyes in disbelief when he felt the chill on his neck. He had been beheaded by Mo Qingyun. At this moment, before Demigod Dian Shi could finish his words, his head had already been separated from his body. However, Demigod Dian Shi was a demigod realm expert and had a strong body from the demon clan. Although his head had been cut off by Mo Qingyun, he did not die immediately. Not only that, when Demigod Dian Shi saw his head falling off, he grabbed it and turned around to escape. "You have already lost your head. Do you think you can escape?" A cold smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face when he saw Half-Exalt Dian trying to flee. He hurriedly pursued Half-Exalt Dian. As Mo Qingyun chased after Demigod Dian, he directly grabbed at Demigod Dian and blasted out a surge of azure blue origin energy. Blue Sea Dark Ice Dragon Capturing Hands. As soon as the azure origin energy appeared, it turned into a huge palm and quickly chased after Duanshi Dian. It grabbed Duanshi Dian and held him in its hand. The giant azure palm grabbed Dian Shi Half-Venerable and slowly turned snow-white. Frost spread in all directions and emitted a terrifying chill. A layer of frost immediately formed around Duanshi Half-Exalt's body, and he slowly turned into an ice sculpture. At that moment, Mo Qingyun's attack against the lesser exalted martial saint seemed intense, but it had only taken him the blink of an eye. So strong. Seeing Duanshi Half-Exalt being killed by Mo Qingyun in the blink of an eye, 8 Tentacles Half-Exalt's face was filled with fear and his face turned pale. In terms of strength, he was not as strong as mountain-shaking half-exalt. In terms of tricks, he was not as strong as Dwancher half-exalt. Now that both of them had died at the hands of Emo Chingyun, how could he fight against Emo Chingyun? Thinking of this, Eight Tentacles half-exalt did not dare to hesitate any longer. He immediately fled and no longer cared about Dwancher half-exalt's life. Black ink escaped. As Eight Tentacles half-exalt fled, a large amount of black mist erupted behind him. It dyed the entire world pitch black, making it impossible to see his whereabouts. Consider yourself lucky this time. Seeing Eight Tentacles half-exalts move, Emo Chingyun frowned slightly and did not chase after him. After glancing in the direction that Eight Tentacles half-exalt had fled, Emo Chingyun ignored him and kept Dwancher half-exalt's body in the 5 directions pagoda. After doing all this, Emo Chingyun moved and arrived in front of Duanmu Honglai and the others. Senior Duanmu, everything has been settled. Let's continue our journey. After arriving in front of Duanmu Honglai and the others, Emo Chingyun instructed them and walked towards his demonic beast carriage. Hearing Emo Chingyun's words, Duanmu Honglai and the others were stunned. They could not calm down for a long time. 3 half-exalts and tens of thousands of Heavenly Dipper Realm and Transcendent Realm Devil Beasts. Such a terrifying lineup had actually been slaughtered by Emo Chingyun in an instant. It had to be said that Emo Chingyun's strength was too terrifying. Young friend Mo's strength is really unfathomable. Seeing Emo Chingyun enter the demonic beast carriage, Duanmu Honglai could not help but sigh in his heart. He was in awe of Emo Chingyun. While Duanmu Honglai was reorganizing his men, Emo Chingyun had already entered the demonic beast carriage. His mood had become extremely heavy. 3 half-devils and tens of thousands of devil beasts. It seems that the 4 great demon clans of the Devil Road have already begun their operation. Thinking back to the situation just now, Emo Chingyun's mood became depressed. A strong sense of urgency rose in his heart. He thought to himself, since the 4 great demon clans of the Devil Road have already invaded, it seems that I have to increase my cultivation as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if the 4 great demon clans attack Qin Yun Palace, I won't be able to protect the disciples of Qin Yun Palace. With this thought, Emo Chingyun no longer hesitated and immediately entered into cultivation. Time passed bit by bit as Emo Chingyun cultivated. Fortunately, the rest of the journey was extremely smooth. They did not encounter any more Devil Clan attacks. Half a month later, Emo Chingyun and the rest arrived at the border of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain and arrived in front of a huge ancient city. Young Lord, once we pass through this mountain domain city, we will arrive at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain Realm. When they arrived in front of the huge ancient city, when Song lifted the curtains of the demonic beast carriage and reported their journey to Emo Chingyun, he asked for instructions. Young Lord, should we directly pass through the mountain domain city and continue our journey, or should we rest in the mountain domain city? After hearing Wen Song's request, Emo Chingyun pondered for a moment before he stood up and walked out of the demonic beast carriage. When they arrived outside the demonic beast carriage, Emo Chingyun sized up the mountain domain city in front of them and said in a deep voice, "Everyone has been on the road for nearly 3 months. They must be very tired. Go and tell Senior Duanmu to let everyone rest in the city for the night. Tomorrow we will head to Qin Yun Palace." Yes. Wen Song nodded in response. He went forward to relay Emo Chingyun's instructions to Duanmu Honglai and let them rest in the mountain domain city for the night. After the Wen family relayed Emo Chingyun's instructions to Duanmu Honglai, the group entered the mountain domain city. However, when the group entered the mountain domain city, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. The scene that greeted them was a mess. Buildings had collapsed and corpses were strewn all over the place. It was a miserable sight. When he saw the scene in front of him, Emo Chingyun immediately furrowed his brows and thought to himself, what happened in the mountain domain city? Why did it become like this? Did the Devil Clan invade again? Chapter 10-19. Broken soldiers, broken armor, corpses, and signs of battle littered every corner of the mountain domain city. The ground was stained purplish-black by blood. Judging from the color of the blood on the ground, it had been a few days since the massacre in the mountain domain city. Some of the weaker cultivators' corpses had already begun to rot and emitted a foul stench. This foul stench attracted a large number of scavenging monstrous beasts, and they began to gnaw on the cultivators' corpses. "Senior Duanmu, let's find a place to bury these people's corpses," Emo Qingyun instructed Duanmu Honglai. He could not bear to see the monstrous beasts gnawing on the cultivators' corpses. Emo Qingyun believed that although he was not the kind of person who bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind, he could not turn a blind eye to the situation before him. "All right." Duanmu Honglai did not think too much after hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions. He hurriedly got to work with Wen Song and the others. Given the cultivation of Duanmu Honglai and the others, it was very easy for them to kill the scavenging monstrous beasts and bury these people's corpses. With Duanmu Honglai and the others' help, more than half of the corpses in the city were quickly cleaned up and thrown into a large pit. Don't come over." At that moment, while the group was cleaning up the corpses in the city, a terrified voice came from the corner of an inconspicuous collapsed house. Emo Qingyun frowned slightly when he heard this. He said to Wen Shaoli beside him, "Shaoli, go over and take a look." "Yes." Wen Shaoli nodded and hurried over to the corner. He raised his hand and shook the collapsed wall open. As the collapsed wall was shaken open, a delicate figure appeared from within. It was a young girl with delicate features. Emo Qingyun frowned slightly when he saw the young girl. He instructed Wen Shaoli, "This girl is the only survivor of the mountain domain city. She should know what happened in the city. Help her into the monstrous beast carriage." "Yes, young lord." After hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Wen Shaoli no longer hesitated and immediately walked towards the girl. Seeing Wen Shaoli approaching her, the girl immediately put up her guard. She looked at Wen Shaoli and said in a panic, "You? What are you doing? I'll fight it out with you." As soon as the girl finished speaking, she raised her hand and struck out with Wen Shaoli. However, her cultivation was limited. She was only at the level of half-step Heaven Dipper realm. With her palm strength, she could not hurt Wen Shaoli at all. Facing the girl's palm, Wen Shaoli casually waved her hand and subdued the girl. Seeing that she was bound by Wen Shaoli, the girl's expression immediately turned crazy. She kept struggling, trying to break free from Wen Shaoli's restraint. Seeing the girl's behavior, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly. He raised his hand and formed a hand seal. He then struck the girl's forehead. As the hand seal sank into the girl's forehead, the girl's vision turned hazy. Then, she fell into a coma. This girl must have been frightened, causing her to become a little delirious. After this, I will refine a cauldron of cleansing curse awakening pills for her to consume. Help her down first. Seeing the girl's actions, Emo Qingyun quickly understood the reason. He waved his hand at Wen Shaoli and gestured for her to help the girl away. "Yes." After hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Wen Shaoli nodded and helped the girl into her demon beast carriage. As Wen Shaoli helped the girl away, Duanmu Honglai and the rest, who were cleaning up the corpses, came up to Emo Qingyun and said, "Young friend Emo, all the corpses in Mountain Domain City have been buried. What do we do next? Mountain Domain City has been destroyed. We can't stay here for the night. Let's continue on our way." After hearing Duanmu Honglai's report, Emo Qingyun scanned his surroundings and instructed Duanmu Honglai. After hearing Emo Qingyun's instructions, Duanmu Honglai and the rest no longer hesitated. They immediately reorganized their teams and prepared to continue on their way. Seeing that Duanmu Honglai had gone to reorganize the team, Emo Qingyun did not hesitate. He immediately returned to his demon beast carriage and started refining pills. Several hours later, under Emo Qingyun's wholehearted refining, a cauldron of clear curse awakening pills was successfully refined. Seeing that the cleansing curse awakening pill was successfully refined, Mo Qingyun took it out of the sacred beast cauldron and left the demon beast carriage. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of Wen Zhaodi's demon beast carriage. He lifted the curtains of Wen Zhaodi's demon beast carriage. At this moment, the young girl had already woken up. However, she was still not fully conscious. Mo Qingyun was not surprised by this. He formed another hand seal and struck the young girl, calming her emotions. When he saw that the young girl had calmed down, Mo Qingyun fed the cleansing curse awakening pill to the young girl. After the young girl had consumed the cleansing curse awakening pill, her consciousness once again wavered and she slowly fell into unconsciousness. When she wakes up again, she should be fully conscious. When that time comes, let me know. When he saw that the young girl had fallen into unconsciousness again, Mo Qingyun instructed Wen Zhaodi and returned to his demon beast carriage. Yes. When she heard Mo Qingyun's instructions, Wen Zhaodi nodded respectfully. When he returned to the demon beast carriage, Mo Qingyun threw everything to the back of his mind and immersed himself in cultivation. 5 days later. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun was cultivating, Wen Zhaodi came to his demon beast carriage and told him the news that the young girl had woken up. When he heard that the young girl had woken up, Mo Qingyun stopped cultivating and went to her demon beast carriage with Wen Zhaodi. At this moment, Duanmu Wan'er and Wen Shaoli were both in Wen Zhaodi's demon beast carriage, accompanying the young girl. Little girl, the person who saved you last time was me. You can't just thank my sisters. When Mo Qingyun pulled open the curtain, Wen Shaoli had an annoyed expression and complained in front of the young girl. When she heard Wen Shaoli's words, the young girl showed a grateful expression and quickly thanked Wen Shaoli. Thank you for saving me, young master. Mu Shui has no way to repay you in this life. I can only do anything to repay you. When he heard the young girl called Mu Shui's words, Wen Shaoli's expression suddenly became gloomy, as if he had received a strong blow. Zhao Li, Miss Mu Shui is already grateful to you, why are you still pulling a long face? When she saw Wen Shaoli's reaction, Wen Zhaodi showed a dissatisfied expression and glared at Wen Shaoli fiercely. Mr. Mo, you're here. Young lord. When they heard Wen Zhaodi's words, Wen Shaoli and Duanmu Wan'er turned their heads and saw Mo Qingyun. They quickly greeted him. After greeting Mo Qingyun, Wen Shaoli showed an annoyed expression and said gloomily, Sister, you don't even know this? When a woman thanks her savior, if she says that she will do anything to repay him, it means that she is not satisfied with the savior's appearance. Otherwise, she will say that she will repay him with her life. When he said this, Wen Shaoli's expression became agitated, and he continued. In addition, when a woman is on a blind date, if she is satisfied with the man's appearance, she will say that marriage is decided by her parents. If she is not satisfied, she will say that she is still young and wants to stay at home to serve her parents for a few more years. This is all a trick. Chapter 10:20. After Mo Qingyun sorted out his emotions, he looked at Mu Shui and ignored Wen Shaoli's strange thoughts. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, Mu Shui's expression suddenly tensed up. She looked at Mo Qingyun with a hint of awe. After looking at Mo Qingyun for a while, Mu Shui glanced at Wen Shaoli and seemed to understand something. She said nervously, Thank you for your help, Mr. Mo. If you don't mind, Mu Shui is willing to repay your kindness by marrying you. Repay my kindness by marrying you? Hearing Mu Shui's words, Wen Shaoli was stunned and his expression became even more depressed. Right now, Mu Shui's words were like a fatal blow to him, instantly making him want to die. This was too much of a blow to him. When Mu Shui thanked him just now, she only said that she would repay him with her life. But now, she said that she would repay Mo Qingyun with her life. This huge difference was obviously ridiculing him for not being good-looking enough. Although Wen Shaoli knew very well that his looks were indeed not as good as Mo Qingyun's, it was still very difficult for him to accept it being said so directly. However, when he thought that the person who was being compared to him was Emo Qingyun, when Shaoli did not dare to show it even if he was unhappy. Then, when Shaoli showed a bitter expression, as if he was a little wife who had been greatly wronged. Seeing Wen Shaoli's reaction and recalling what he just said, Emo Qingyun and the others immediately laughed. Wen Shaoli's current situation was simply like shooting himself in the foot, slapping himself in the mouth with his own word. Haha. After Wen Zhaodi laughed, she smiled slyly at Wen Shaoli and teased, "Brother, I didn't quite understand what I said to you just now, but after Miss Mu Shue's demonstration, I instantly understand." Hee, so do I. After Wen Zhaodi's words, Duanmu Wan covered her mouth and laughed, speaking her mind. You're too much of a bully." Seeing everyone's reaction, Wen Shaoli was immediately depressed and indignant. "Alright, don't make fun of me." Seeing Wen Zhaoli's gloomy expression, Emo Qingyun waved his hand at everyone and turned to look at Mu Shui. He changed the topic and said, "Miss Mu Shui, when we saved you earlier, it was just a small matter. You don't have to take it to heart." After explaining to Mu Shui, Mo's expression turned serious and said, "Miss, what happened in the mountain domain city? How did all the cultivators in the city get killed?" Mu Shui's face immediately turned pale when Emo Qingyun mentioned the incident at Mountain Domain City, and she spoke with lingering fear. "Young Master Emo, I don't know the exact reason. All I remember is that a ghastly black cloud suddenly appeared in the sky above Mountain Domain City that day. It enveloped the entire city as soon as it arrived, and then numerous ghosts, wraiths, specters, and impermanences flew out from the black cloud. They slaughtered everyone in the city as soon as they appeared. After that, Mu Shui told Emo Qingyun and the others in detail about what had happened in the mountain region city that day. Ghosts, wraiths, specters, and impermanences? Emo Qingyun's eyebrows furrowed at Mu Shui's explanation. These ghosts are from the path of ghosts. Why would they suddenly appear on the Tianhun continent? Could it be that the path of ghosts is connected to the Tianhun continent? Mu Shui asked. The path of ghosts and the path of demons are on the same level. The specters in the path of ghosts are extremely vicious. It would be bad news if they were to invade the Tianhun continent. When he thought of this, Emo Qingyun's expression grew even heavier. He turned to look at Mu Shui and said, "Miss Mu Shui, where did those ghosts go after they slaughtered the cultivators of Mountain Domain City? I fainted after seeing so many cultivators being slaughtered by the specters. So, I don't know where they went." Mu Shui's complexion turned even paler as she recalled the scene of the ghosts massacring the city. After replying to Emo Qingyun, an apologetic expression appeared on her face as she said, "Young Master Emo, I'm sorry. I couldn't help him much. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Knowing about the specters that slaughtered the city is enough for me." Looking at the apologetic Mu Shui, Emo Qingyun waved his hand with a faint smile and said, "Your consciousness has just recovered, so you need more rest. I won't disturb you any longer." Emo Qingyun said to Mu Shui. He then left Wen Zhaodi's demonic beast carriage, and let Mu Shui recuperate inside. Emo Qingyun didn't return to the carriage to cultivate after leaving Wen Zhaodi's carriage. Instead, he walked over to Duanmu Honglai and the others. "Senior Duanmu, where are we now? Once we cross this mountain, we'll officially enter the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain." In response to Emo Qingyun's question, Duanmu Honglai pointed at the mountain range in front of them and reported their current location to Emo Qingyun. After hearing Duanmu Honglai's report, Emo Qingyun had a rough idea of their current itinerary. There are countless sects in the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, I'll travel with everyone. In order to prevent them from bumping into other sects, Emo Qingyun decided not to continue cultivating for the rest of the journey. Subsequently, under Emo Qingyun's guidance, everyone's journey became much smoother. Just like that, 2 days later, Emo Qingyun and the others arrived outside the Azure Cloud Palace. After arriving at Qin Yun Palace, Missouri Qin Yun instructed Qi Lian to settle everyone down. Then, he summoned the Iron Wing and asked about the recent situation in Qin Yun Palace. A moment later, in Mo Qingyun's small courtyard. Young lord. The Iron Wing walked into the courtyard and stood in front of Mo Qingyun. He bowed respectfully to Mo Qingyun. No need for formalities. When he saw the Iron Wing's actions, Mo Qingyun smiled and waved his hand. He directly asked the Iron Wing, "Iron Wing, what's the situation in Qin Yun Palace recently? Can the 3 sacred mountains invade Qin Yun Palace?" "Young lord, not long after you left, the 3 sacred mountains invaded a few times. However, they all became nourishment for Yen Mo's cultivation." In response to Mo Qingyun's question, Tai Yi gave a simple report. His expression turned serious as he continued, "After the people from the 3 great divine mountains suffered a few setbacks, they stopped. However, not long ago, the Clear Cloud Palace received a series of ghost invasions." Ghosts? Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed at the Iron Wing's words. "It seems that the path of ghosts is connected to the Tianhun continent. If that's the case, the Tianhun continent will only grow more and more chaotic. The bandits of Qin Yun Palace. Give us back our crystal mines, spirit herbs, and spirit veins." Just as Mo Qingyun was sighing inwardly, a voice of dissatisfaction came from outside Qin Yun Palace. Chapter 10:21. Soon, Mo Qingyun arrived outside Qin Yun Palace. He raised his head and looked at the people in the sky above Qin Yun Palace. After glancing at the people in the sky, Missouri Qin Yun squinted his eyes and a cold light flashed in his eyes. These people had provoked Qin Yun Palace. If he did not teach them a lesson, how would Qin Yun Palace be able to intimidate others in the future? Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, he discovered that these people were not strong. Their cultivations were basically below the advanced god power level. With these people's cultivations, provoking Qin Yun Palace was no different from courting death. As such, the situation before him was a little unusual. Who are these people? Looking at the people in the sky, Missouri Qingyun's expression was cold. He turned his head and asked Iron Wing, "Young lord, these people are from some small sects nearby. Recently, they have been harassing Qin Yun Palace." When Mo Qingyun asked about the identities of these people, Tai Yi's expression was indifferent. He continued, "Because these sects are all vassals of Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, I didn't take action to deal with them. I didn't expect them to take a mile after taking an inch." Dependent on Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain? Maybe they are dependent on Sky Sword Sacred Mountain, Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain, and Sky Spear Sacred Mountain? The corners of Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly when he heard that. A mocking smile appeared on his face as he spoke in displeasure. He looked at the people in the sky and yelled, "All of you, listen up. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance. If you leave the Azure Cloud Palace immediately, I can let you off this time. If you don't leave, you can stay here forever." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Iron Wing's expression changed. He was shocked by Mo Qingyun's actions. These sects were all vassals of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. If Mo Qingyun were to attack these sects, wouldn't he be challenging the authority of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain? If the Qin Yun Palace offended the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, wouldn't that mean that they would offend the 4 sacred mountains? This was not a good thing. Originally, with the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain in the middle, the Sky Sword Sacred Mountain, Imperial Beast Sacred Mountain, and Sky Spear Sacred Mountain could still be a little wary. Now, if the Qin Yun Palace also caused trouble in the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, then the other 3 sacred mountains would have nothing to worry about. Perhaps they would immediately move in full force to deal with the Qin Yun Palace. If the Supremes of the 3 divine mountains were to take action as well, the Qin Yun Palace might not be a match for the 3 divine mountains even though it was not weak. While Iron Wing was worried, The people in the air all revealed disdainful expressions when they heard Emo Qingyun's words. They didn't take Emo Qingyun's warning seriously at all. Humph. This is the territory of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. It's not the place for the Qingyun Palace to behave atrociously. That's right. The Qingyun Palace has violated the principles of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. You should be hunted down by thousands of sects, and your entire family should be executed. The people of the Qingyun Palace should be punished by everyone. We will definitely not tolerate the Qingyun Palace's arrogance. In an instant, all sorts of righteous words came out from the mouths of the people in the air. A bunch of useless idiot. How dare you spout such arrogant words? When he heard the words of these people, Emo Qingyun revealed a disdainful expression. His gaze turned cold as he said, "You people are not qualified to annihilate the Qingyun Palace. Since all of you are courting death, I will fulfill your wish." After saying these cold words, Emo Qingyun no longer paid any attention to them. He turned around and walked into the Qingyun Palace. He instructed Iron Wing, "Iron Wing, take note of all the sects that are causing trouble. After that, bring Yen Mo to visit them one by one. If Yen Mo refines the bodies of these people, she should be able to raise her cultivation by quite a bit. Young Lord, these sects are all vassal forces of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. If we annihilate them, I'm afraid it will be difficult to explain to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain." When he heard Emo Qingyun's idea, Iron Wing was shocked. He was frightened by Emo Qingyun's idea. This was really what he was worried about. Emo Qingyun did not take Iron Wing's worries to heart. When he heard Iron Wing's words, he said calmly, "You don't have to worry about the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. I will personally make a trip to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. You can deal with them as you wish." Yes. When he heard Emo Qingyun's words, Iron Wing did not think any further. He knew what to do. If not for the relationship between the Qingyun Palace and the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, and the fact that these sects were all vassal forces of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Iron Wing would have already annihilated these sections. How could he allow them to continue acting so arrogantly? Since Emo Qingyun had said so, he had nothing to worry about. After instructing Iron Wing to annihilate these sects, Emo Qingyun took out a Qiankuan bag and threw it into Iron Wing's hands. "There are some devil beasts' corpses here. Feed them to the Eye Devil." When he saw the devil beasts' corpses in the Qiankuan bag, Iron Wing was shocked. He was shocked by Emo Qingyun's generosity. Over 2,000 transcendent realm demonic beast corpses, and close to 10,000 heaven star realm demonic beast corpses. What a shocking scene this was. More importantly, Iron Wing was very clear that these corpses in his hands were all killed by Emo Qingyun alone. Killing transcendent realm demonic beasts and heaven star realm demonic beasts all by himself was a little too ferocious. However, before Iron Wing could recover from his shock, Emo Qingyun threw Demi-Venerable Diane's corpse in front of Iron Wing and said, "This is the corpse of a Demi-Venerable realm demonic beast. Hand it over to Qi Lian." A Demi-Venerable petrifying Devil Snake clan member. Tai Yi's expression changed once more when he saw the corpse of the stone half-exalt. Shock rose in his heart. Although the petrifying Devil Snake clan couldn't be compared to his four-winged Sky Eagle clan in the Wasteland continent, it was still a very powerful clan. More importantly, when the petrifying Devil Snake clan members fought, their petrification ability would be very troublesome. Therefore, a demi-venerable expert from the petrifying Devil Snake clan could basically fight against 3 demi-venerable experts. He didn't expect Emo Qingyun, a level 7 transcendent realm demonic beast, to be able to kill a demi-venerable expert from the petrifying Devil Snake clan after killing so many transcendent realm demonic beasts. Iron Wing couldn't help but be shocked by this. Iron Wing believed that with his current strength, he wouldn't be able to do what Emo Qingyun had done. "Alright, I'll make a trip to the Sky Pool Sacred Mountain now. I'll leave the rest to you." Mo Qingyun ignored Iron Wing's shock and left Qingyun Palace after instructing Iron Wing. Seeing that Mo Qingyun had left Qingyun Palace, Iron Wing didn't hesitate any longer. He immediately moved and killed the people outside Qingyun Palace. These people were only at the advanced transcendent realm and below. Facing the demi-venerable Iron Wing, they simply couldn't resist at all. Aren't you afraid of the Sky Pool Sacred Mountain's anger if you kill us? Don't kill me. I'll leave Qingyun Palace immediately. Chapter 10:22. 2 days later, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain after traveling at full speed. After arriving at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Mo Qingyun immediately used the concealment door and entered the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain in a flash. After entering the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Mo Qingyun quickly arrived at Supremacy Su Chao's residence. At this moment, Qiu Yi and a few other supreme elders of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain were sitting in Supremacy Su Chao's small courtyard. From the way they were chatting, it seemed like they were discussing something. Moreover, it seemed like they had gotten into an argument because of it. Su Chao and the others seemed to have gotten into an argument? Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly. He was quite surprised by the scene before him. He guessed. Could it be that the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain is in some sort of trouble? Is Su Chao and the others feeling troubled because of it? From Mo Qingyun's point of view, Supremacy Su Chao and the others wouldn't be acting like this unless the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain was in trouble. Mo Qingyun was slightly puzzled, but he didn't think too much about it. He revealed himself in front of Supremacy Su Chao and the others. Mr. Mo. Mr. Mo, why are you here? Seeing Mo Qingyun appear, Supremacy Su Chao and the others were all surprised. They were a little surprised by Mo Qingyun's sudden appearance. Compared to the others' surprise, Supremacy Su Chao and Qiu Yi were pleasantly surprised. A brilliant smile appeared on their faces. From their point of view, now that Mo Qingyun had arrived at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, he would definitely be able to come up with a good plan for them. Mr. Mo, please have a seat. Seeing Mo Qingyun arrive at his residence, Supremacy Su Chao hurriedly stood up and greeted Mo Qingyun, gesturing for him to take a seat. Since Mo Qingyun had told Supremacy Su Chao not to reveal his identity for the time being, Supremacy Su Chao continued to address him as Mr. Mo. When Supremacy Su Chao greeted Mo Qingyun, the others beside him also smiled and greeted Mo Qingyun warmly. They respected and admired Mo Qingyun greatly. Ignoring the fact that Mo Qingyun possessed the strength to kill a quasi-exalt, just Mo Qingyun's attainments in alchemy deeply impressed them. Last time, when Mo Qingyun taught them at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, they had all benefited greatly. They were very grateful to Mo Qingyun. If it weren't for their status in the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, they would have greeted Mo Qingyun as a disciple when they saw Mo Qingyun. Everyone, please take a seat. When he saw everyone's reaction, Mo Qingyun waved his hands and gestured for them to take a seat. After everyone took a seat, a peak transcendent Supreme Elder looked at Mo Qingyun curiously and asked, Mr. Mo, why have you come to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain? Indeed, there is something. Mo Qingyun didn't try to hide the elder's question. He nodded and said, recently, some sects near Qingyun Palace seem to have been influenced by the Sky Sword, Sky Spear, and Imperial Beast Mountains. They often come to Qingyun Palace to cause trouble, so I ordered people to eliminate them. I've come to give you an explanation. Is that so? The expressions of Supremacy Su Chao and the others changed when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They were furious. They still remembered how the Sky Sword, Sky Spear, and Imperial Beast Mountains had joined forces to deal with the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. How could they not be furious when they found out that the sects that relied on them were trying to defect to the three sacred mountains? These people want to defect to the Sky Sword, Sky Spear, and Imperial Beast Mountains under the protection of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. They deserve to die. These traitors deserve to die. Mr. Mo, you've done well. There's no need to feel bad about it. Speaking of which, we should thank Mr. Mo for cleaning up the mess for the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. In an instant, everyone looked grateful and cupped their fists at Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun had already expected such a reaction from the crowd. When he saw this, he smiled faintly and said, "Haha, elders, you are exaggerating. Since I have heard your words, I am completely at ease." Mo Qingyun's words suddenly changed as a curious expression appeared on his face. "Everyone, when I came here earlier, I saw all of you arguing. Could it be that the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain has met with some trouble?" Everyone's faces stiffened when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. A sliver of hesitation appeared on their faces as they considered whether they should tell Mo Qingyun about this. Supremacy Su Chao sighed when he saw that no one spoke. He said in a deep voice, "It's like this. We've recently received news that my second junior brother, Qin Yongjun, is in danger in the demon suppression abyss. I've decided to go and save my second junior brother. The elders are worried about my safety, so they've been trying to persuade me to let someone else go in my place." Supremacy Su Chao gave a simple explanation of what had happened to Mo Qingyun. In Supremacy Su Chao's opinion, Qin Yongjun was Mo Qingyun's second disciple, so he had to report this matter to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed when he heard Supremacy Su Chao's words. A sliver of worry appeared on his face. He had originally thought that Qin Yongjun was dead for sure after falling into the demon suppression abyss. Who would have thought that Qin Yongjun was still alive? Since Qin Yongjun hadn't died in the demon suppression abyss and was now in great trouble as Qin Yongjun's master, he naturally couldn't just sit by and watch. It was necessary for him to explore the demon suppression abyss. With that in mind, Mo Qingyun made up his mind. He thought to himself, "Since Yongjun is still alive, I have to make a trip there immediately no matter how dangerous the demon suppression abyss is." After making up his mind, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He immediately said to Supremacy Su Chao and the others, "Everyone, there's no need for you to feel distressed over this. I just happened to be preparing to make a trip to the demon suppression abyss. If you trust me, I might be able to save Qin Yongjun for you." Really? The great elders of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain were immediately overjoyed when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They became extremely excited. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun was only weaker than Supremacy Su Chao. If Mo Qingyun could lend them a hand, it couldn't be any better. More importantly, the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain still needed Supremacy Su Chao. If he entered the demon suppression abyss and encountered any danger, it would definitely be a disaster for the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. After all, given the enmity between the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain and the Heavenly Sword, Heavenly Spear, and Beast Tamer Mountains, they definitely couldn't allow the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain to grow stronger. If they learned that something had happened to Supremacy Su Chao, they would definitely destroy the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain once more. Chapter 10:23. Compared to the joy of the Supreme Elders of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Supreme Su Chao was worried when he learned of Mo Qingyun's plan. The Supreme Elders of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain did not know Mo Qingyun's true identity, but Supreme Su Chao was well aware of it. Mo Qingyun was his master, the previous Mountain Lord of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. How could he possibly watch as Mo Qingyun risked his life? The demon suppression abyss was a dangerous place in the ancient times. Even 9 Heavens Supremes could not guarantee that they could come out alive after entering it. Even though Mo Qingyun's strength was shocking, he was only a 7th-layer godly power cultivator after all. As such, Supreme Suchao believed that it was still too dangerous for Mo Qingyun to enter the demon suppression abyss. Supreme Suchao became nervous when he thought of this. He immediately said to Mo Qingyun, "Mr. Mo, the demon suppression abyss is extremely dangerous. Even 9 Heaven Supremes would find it difficult to deal with the dangers inside. It's too dangerous for you to go in. Why don't you tell me what you have to do in the demon suppression abyss? I'll do it for you when the time comes." The supreme elders of the heavenly pool sacred mountain around him immediately wore stern expressions when they heard Supreme Suchao's words. However, they did not advise Supreme Suchao not to enter the demon suppression abyss right away. In their opinion, if they tried to persuade Supreme Suchao not to enter the demon suppression abyss to save Qin Yongjun, it would seem like they were purposely putting Mo Qingyun in danger. Mo Qingyun's expression stiffened when he heard Supreme Suchao's words. He rejected firmly, "Supreme Suchao, you don't have to persuade me. Even if you don't let me help you find Qin Yongjun, I will still go to the demon suppression abyss." But Supreme Suchao opened his mouth unwillingly when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He wanted to persuade Mo Qingyun again. However, before he could finish, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and interrupted him. Mo Qingyun slowly stood up after interrupting Supreme Suchao. His figure slowly disappeared before everyone's eyes. He said in a deep voice, "Supreme Suchao, your cultivation might be higher than mine, but your ability to protect yourself is nowhere close to mine. Just do as I say." This, Supreme Suchao hesitated when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. He said after a moment of silence, "If that's the case, I'll leave Yongjun's matter. The demon suppression abyss is dangerous, Mo Yongjun's matter. The demon suppression abyss is extremely dangerous. Mo, you must be careful. His lord is Mo Yongjun's was Mo ses emperor ses pool abyss s's as his mo's he's s. His was. Moreover, Mo Qingyun's true strength was not weaker than his. Compared to him, Mo Qingyun was indeed more suitable to enter the demon suppression abyss. Since that's the case, I won't delay any longer. I'll head to the demon suppression abyss immediately. Mo Qingyun left the heavenly pool sacred mountain after informing Supreme Suchao and the others. He directly headed to the demon suppression abyss. The demon suppression abyss was located in the northern continent. It was not close to the heavenly pool sacred mountain. With Mo Qingyun's speed, it would take him about 3 months to reach there. After leaving the heavenly pool sacred mountain, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer. He directly entered the 5 directions small pagoda to cultivate and let his incarnation bring him along. The demon suppression abyss is incomparably dangerous. It'll be great if I can improve my cultivation before entering the demon suppression abyss. Arriving at the 2nd floor of the 5 directions small pagoda, Mo Qingyun's face was filled with anticipation. He took out a large amount of Dan Yuan crystals and placed them beside him. Devouring Gate. After taking out the Dan Palace crystals and placing them beside him, Mo Qingyun used the Devouring Gate and crazily absorbed the Yuan energy within the Dan Yuan crystals. Under the absorption of the Gate of Devouring, streams of pure Yuan Li were extracted from the Dan Yuan crystals and flowed into the Gate of Devouring like rivers flowing into the sea. Following that, Mo Qingyun felt a stream of pure Yuan energy entering his body and flowing through his meridians. Feeling the Yuan energy flowing through his body, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer and immediately started to refine it. As he continued to refine the Yuan energy, the aura emitted from his body slowly grew stronger. A month later, Mo Qingyun's cultivation reached the late stage of the 7th level of the Transcendent Realm. Another month later, Mo Qingyun's cultivation reached the limit of the Transcendent Realm. He was only a step away from the 8th level of the Transcendent Realm. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately tried to break through to the 8th level of the transcendent realm. With a spurt of energy, Mo Qingyun easily broke through the barrier of the 8th level of the transcendent realm. Boom! Now that his cultivation had reached the 8th level of the transcendent realm, Mo Qingyun felt that the amount of yuan energy he could hold had increased by more than a few times. Not only that, after he broke through to the next level, the purity and quality of the yuan energy in his body had also greatly increased and strengthened. With my current cultivation, if I meet a half-reverend expert, even if I don't use any of my trump cards, I can easily kill him. Sensing the increase in his strength, Mo Qingyun revealed a surprised smile. He could not wait to test his strength. However, after a short moment of excitement, Mo Qingyun calmed down and once again immersed himself in cultivation to stabilize his current level. Just like that, time slowly passed as Mo Qingyun cultivated. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Peak of the early stage of the 8th level of the transcendent realm. After a month of cultivation, Mo Qingyun's cultivation had finally completely stabilized. Furthermore, he had reached the peak of the early stage of the 8th level of the transcendent realm. Although Mo Qingyun did not reach the middle stage of the 8th level of the transcendent realm, his cultivation speed was still very shocking. After all, the higher the level of the transcendent realm, the harder it was to raise one's level. With Mo Qingyun's cultivation speed, if word of this got out, it would still scare a lot of people. I have reached the demon suppression abyss. At this moment, the incarnation that had been taking Mo Qingyun's place sent a telepathic message to Mo Qingyun. I'm already there? After receiving the message from the incarnation, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and left the 5-directional small pagoda. After Mo Qingyun left the 5-directional small pagoda, he kept the incarnation in the 5-directional small pagoda and raised his head to look at the demon suppression abyss. He saw a bottomless ravine in front of him. The ravine was filled with a layer of black mist. Ghostly figures constantly danced in the mist, giving off a gloomy and terrifying feeling. After looking at the demon suppression abyss in front of him, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and walked into the demon suppression abyss. Very quickly, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the demon suppression abyss. Roar! At this moment, when Mo Qingyun approached the demon suppression abyss, a huge ferocious ghostly figure suddenly tried to devour him. Chapter 10:24. After a short moment of shock, Mo Qingyun did not dare to think too much and immediately raised his hand to block the attack of the spirit. Under the wave of Mo Qingyun's colorless sword, a bright 7-colored sword light suddenly bloomed and blasted towards the approaching spirit. This spirit's cultivation was only at the Heaven Dipper stage 4. With its cultivation, facing Mo Qingyun's sword, it did not have the slightest ability to resist. Poochie! Under Mo Qingyun's sword, the spirit was instantly blasted into dust and slowly dissipated between heaven and earth. After killing the spirit with one sword, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately flew towards the inner part of the demon suppression abyss. As Mo Qingyun flew towards the inner part of the demon suppression abyss, he discovered that there were many spirits floating in the fog of the demon suppression abyss. Why are there so many spirits in the demon suppression abyss? Could it be that the incident in the mountain domain city has something to do with the demon suppression abyss? Looking at the large number of spirits in front of him, Mo Qingyun thought about the massacre in the mountain domain city. After thinking about it this way, Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with curiosity and quickly flew towards the inner part of the demon suppression abyss. The inner part of the demon suppression abyss was very big. At a glance, one could not see the end. It was all a gray space. As Mo Qingyun went deeper into the demon suppression abyss, he encountered more and more spirit. There were even spirits, wraiths, spirits, and impermanences that were above the sacred art level. It seems that the massacre of the mountain domain city by the spirits should be related to the demon suppression abyss. Looking at the spirits, wraiths, spirits, and impermanences in front of him, Mo Qingyun's previous guess was immediately confirmed. However, Mo Qingyun did not attack these spirits, wraiths, spirits, and impermanences. Instead, he used the hidden door and flew towards the depths of the demon suppression abyss. After a few hours, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the bottom of the demon suppression abyss. He saw broken weapons, broken armors, and corpses on the ground. After seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression could not help but be shocked. He began to guess in his heart, the scene in the demon suppression abyss is very similar to the ancient battlefield in the ice-glazed city. Could it be that the demon suppression abyss is also an ancient battlefield? Hiss, at this moment, as Mo Qingyun was thinking in his heart, a huge black figure suddenly rushed out of the wreckage underground. Following that, a terrifying and eerie aura was emitted from the giant figure. When the gloomy aura appeared, the huge figure opened its mouth towards Mo Qingyun to devour him. After the figure, the demon suppression abyss. A thick long tongue, and coiled towards Mo's neck. Upon closer inspection, one could clearly see that there were many needle-like purple venomous fangs on this sticky and slender tongue. Giant demon corpse worm. Seeing the huge figure in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately changed, revealing a shocked expression. The giant demon corpse worm's body was similar to a giant python, but it was also very different from a giant python. It had many sharp spikes on its body, emitting a gloomy cold light. 9 essences in 1. Facing the attack of the giant demon corpse worm, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hold back. He immediately waved the colorless sword to block its attack. As Mo Qingyun waved the colorless sword, the teeth on the giant demon corpse worm's tongue flew out and shot towards Mo Qingyun's throat. Facing the teeth of the giant demon corpse worm, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed. He quickly waved the colorless sword to block the attack. Dang dang dang, as Mo Qingyun waved the colorless sword, the teeth that shot towards him were immediately blocked, producing a crisp sound. After blocking the attack of the giant demon corpse worm, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and immediately slashed at the giant demon corpse worm. Suddenly, a 9-colored sword radiance erupted from the colorless sword and swept towards the giant demon corpse worm. Dang dang dang, in the face of Mo Qingyun's angry slash, more than 10 of the spikes on the giant demon corpse worm's body were instantly cut off. However, the giant demon corpse worm was not injured, not even a mark was left on its skin. After seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun could not help but change his expression. He thought to himself, with the power of my slash, even a treasure-level armor would be directly cut open by me. I did not expect the giant demon corpse worm to take my slash head-on and not have a mark on its skin. What an amazing defensive power! At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was still in shock, the giant demon corpse worm suddenly spun like a top. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Not only that, as the giant demon corpse worm spun, the spikes on its body detached from its body and flew out one by one. In the face of these flying spikes, Mo Qingyun quickly waved the colorless sword and slashed at the spikes that were flying towards him. Under Mo Qingyun's continuous slashes, the spikes that were attacking him were immediately cut down. However, Mo Qingyun was also forced to retreat continuously because of this. He only stopped after retreating several hundred meters. As Mo Qingyun retreated, the giant demon corpse worm also fled far away and instantly disappeared from Mo Qingyun's sight. This giant demon corpse worm's strength is amazing. Looking at the giant demon corpse worm that disappeared, Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with shock. He sighed inwardly. No wonder it's said that the subduing devil abyss is incomparably dangerous. Just now, the giant demon corpse worm's cultivation was only at the 7th level of the divine power realm, but under its surprise attack, Even a pseudo-venerable expert would suffer a grievance under its spikes if they were slightly careless. After Mo Qingyun lamented in his heart, his expression became solemn. He revealed a worried expression and said, "The subduing devil abyss is incomparably dangerous. Now that Lord Yong is in danger, I have to find him as soon as possible." Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment, then his figure moved and flew towards the depths of the subduing devil abyss. One day later, under Mo Qingyun's full-speed flight, he arrived in front of a gloomy mountain range. Arriving in front of the mountain range, Mo Qingyun saw two middle-aged men with pale faces. Each of them sat on a black gourd and flew out of the black mountain range. The cultivation of these two men was at the 7th level of the divine power realm. One was at the late stage of the divine power realm, while the other was at the peak of the 7th level of the divine power realm. Cultivators? Looking at the two men slowly flying closer, Mo Qingyun's expression couldn't help but change. A feeling of surprise rose in his heart. He really didn't expect that there would be cultivators in the depths of the subduing devil abyss. However, after carefully sizing up the two men, Mo Qingyun's brows tightly knitted together. He said in surprise, "The cultivation method of these two people seems to be different from the Heavenly Soul continent. It seems like they aren't cultivators of the Heavenly Soul continent. Seems like there are still many secrets in the subduing devil abyss." After a brief moment of surprise, Mo Qingyun calmly followed behind the two men. Chapter 10:25. Xiang Ku, have you heard that the Yinxian sect seems to have recently recruited a person who can kill a semi-venerable with the cultivation of the 7th hurdle of the magical power? I know. That person seems to be called Fang Yuan. He seems to have obtained the inheritance of the ancient strong race. Now he is the lord of the Yinxian sect. I heard that we were sent out to capture ghosts, resentful spirits, ghosts and impermanence for Fang Yuan to practice. That guy's practice method is very evil. It is even more evil than that of our ghost fetus clan. It is said that he can practice by devouring ghosts. The conversation of the two people in front of him was heard word for word by Mo Qingyun. Fang Yuan? Is he the disciple of Li He? Hearing that, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly shook, and there was a surprise in his expression. He secretly thought, the Fang Yuan mentioned by the two people is the Fang Yuan whose arm was cut off by me in Kanglan City. This means that Fang Yuan has great ability. Thinking of this, Mo Qingyun's expression became a little dignified. He silently followed the two people and listened to their word. After following for a while, Mo Qingyun learned a lot of information about the evil suppression abyss from the two people. The evil suppression abyss was an independent space set up by more than 10 immortals in the ancient times. It sealed and suppressed the strong evil immortals in the ancient times. After learning this information, Mo Qingyun's expression couldn't help but change, and he secretly thought, so, the evil suppression abyss should be the battlefield of the ancient immortals against the evil immortals? After a while, Mo Qingyun followed the two people in front of him and came to a gray light curtain. In the center of this gray light curtain, there was a crack of 1 foot wide and 3 feet high, which emitted a faint light. In this crack, a translucent figure emerged from time to time, floating in the air and making threatening gestures. Resentful spirits? Ghosts? Looking at the figure emerging from the crack, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, revealing a shock. Immediately, Mo Qingyun frowned, and a strong worry rose in his heart. He said in a deep voice, "It seems that the ghosts in the evil suppression abyss should have escaped from here. Di Jiang, the crack of this space crack seems to have become bigger. If it goes on like this, I am afraid that the impermanence of the half-venerable realm can pass through." Looking at the space crack in front of him, Xiang Ku's pale face became a little dignified. He said worriedly, "After we return to the sect, we must report this matter to the Lord. Xiang Ku, you and I shouldn't care about this kind of thing. Let's just focus on capturing wraiths, specters, and impermanence. After hearing Xiang Ku's words, Di Heng's face revealed a cold expression as he replied, "Now that the spatial cracks connecting the demon-suppressing abyss to the ghost road have expanded by more than several times, it seems that it won't be long before the demon-suppressing abyss and the ghost road are completely connected." Hearing Di Zhang's words, Xiang Ku's expression became a little dignified, and he said worriedly, "Don't think too much about it. It is not our turn to worry about this kind of thing. When the time comes, the Lord and the others will deal with it." Di Jiang waved his hand helplessly at Xiang Ku's worried words, and urged the black gourd in his hand to capture the ghosts. Seeing Di Jiang capture the ghosts, Xiang Ku no longer hesitated and also urged his black gourd to capture the ghosts. Under the urging of the two, the black gourd suddenly emitted a cloud of green smoke, which quickly enveloped the ghosts in front of them. Those ghosts were enveloped by the black gourd, as if they had been drugged, and instantly became sluggish in the green smoke. Capture! Seeing the green smoke enveloping the ghosts, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku immediately formed hand seals and pointed at the 8 trigrams seal of the black gourd. Then, the black gourd flashed with green light, and an astonishing suction force erupted from the mouth of the gourd. Under this suction force, the green smoke and the ghosts within were instantly sucked into the black gourd. Lord's Yin-Yang Child Mother Gourd is really powerful. The impermanence stage impermanence is unable to resist at all. Seeing the power of the black gourd in his hand, Di Zhang's face was filled with shock, and he spoke excitedly. Hearing Di Zhang's words, Xiang Ku revealed a matter-of-fact expression, and said with a solemn face, "When Lord gave us the Yin-Yang Child Mother Gourd, he told us that as long as it is not a half-step impermanence stage impermanence, the Yin-Yang Child Mother Gourd can easily capture it." Yin-Yang Child Mother Gourd? Hearing the words of the two, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he secretly sighed in his heart. Although this gourd is not a spiritual weapon, it is not any weaker than a top-tier spiritual weapon. It seems that there are still many things in this world that I do not know. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, 2 powerful auras emerged from the crack. These 2 auras were comparable to half-step impermanence stage experts. After sensing these 2 auras, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's expressions shook, and they revealed bitter expressions. "We can't be so unlucky, right? The 2 of us have just arrived here, and we've already encountered half-step impermanence stage experts? It doesn't matter if they are half-step impermanence stage impermanences, the strength of these 2 impermanences is definitely not something that we can deal with. Let's leave this place for the time being." Sensing the increasingly powerful auras, Di Jiang spoke anxiously, and pulled Xiang Ku away from the vicinity of the spatial crack. Not long after Di Jiang and Xiang Ku left the spatial crack, 2 figures, one black and one white, emerged from the spatial crack. These 2 figures were draped in long cloaks that covered their bodies. They held long black and white whips in their hands as they floated in the air. It is indeed half-step impermanence stage impermanence, and they have even condensed impermanence chains. Fortunately, we left in advance. Looking at the 2 impermanences beside the spatial crack, Xiang Ku's face immediately revealed a frightened expression, and he spoke with lingering fear. After hearing Xiang Ku's words, Di Zhang's expression also turned solemn, and he continuously nodded in agreement. In their hearts, they were very clear that with the strength of these 2 impermanences, it would be very easy for them to kill the 2 of them. Next, Xiang Ku and Di Jiang silently waited at the side, waiting for the black and white impermanence to leave the spatial crack. However, what made them feel helpless was that, after the black and white impermanence came out, they stayed near the spatial crack. Not only that, in the following time, the black and white impermanence actually began to organize the departed souls that came out from the spatial crack, and they divided them into 2 lines. Chapter 10:26. As time passed, the number of ghosts, vengeful spirits and specters that came out of the spatial crack increased. Slowly, these ghosts, vengeful spirits and specters that came out of the spatial crack formed a mighty army of departed souls. Looking at the orderly army of departed souls with monstrous demonic aura, Xiang Ku and Di Jia's faces were filled with fear. Their expressions revealed the intention to retreat. Di Jia, looking at the current situation, I'm afraid it's impossible for us to continue capturing departed souls. Looking at the mighty army of departed souls, Xiang Ku said some distressed words. He suggested to Di Jia, why don't we return to the sect first and report the situation here to the sect leader? After that, we'll look for other places to capture departed souls. That's fine. After hearing Xiang Ku's suggestion, Di Jia's expression was solemn as he nodded his head, expressing his approval of Xiang Ku's suggestion. Then, Xiang Ku and Di Jia no longer hesitated. They immediately turned around and left, returning to their own sect. Seeing Xiang Ku and Di Jia leave, Emo Qingyun's gaze paused at the spatial crack for a moment before he turned his head to look at the two. Looking at the two gradually disappearing figures, Emo Qingyun hesitated for a moment. In the end, he decided to continue following the two. Soon after, Emo Qingyun's figure moved. In a couple of flashes, he caught up to the Dilian duo. After catching up to the two, Emo Qingyun did not attack them. He silently followed behind the two. Along the way it was peaceful. A few hours later, Emo Qingyun arrived at a gloomy valley under the guidance of Xiang Ku and the other man. This valley was similar to a primitive tribe. Many clansmen of the Ghost Fetus clan lived here. This valley was very large. Even with Emo Qingyun's eyesight, he could not see the edge of this valley. Walking into the valley, Emo Qingyun saw many simple straw huts and wooden houses. The entrance of these straw huts and wooden houses were hung with the corpses of humans and various demonic beasts. It gave off an extremely gloomy feeling. After careful observation, one could see that there was a black jar with runes at the door of each of the wooden and thatched huts. Many people with pale faces and ragged clothes were sitting around the black urn. They were burning piles of corpses under the black urn. These skeletons were incinerated by the green flames and emitted clouds of white smoke, which were then sucked into the black jar. Every time these black jars inhaled a puff of white smoke, they would jump and their shapes would change slightly, as if they were beating a heart. Boiling fetus, this Ghost Fetus clan's method of passing on their descendants is truly extraordinary. After seeing the surrounding scene, Emo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, and he couldn't help but sigh. Boiling the fetus was the Ghost Fetus clan's way of reproducing. It was similar to how human warriors carried their babies. It was said that before the Ghost Fetus clansmen were born, the longer they stayed in the symbol altar, the more ghost energy they absorbed, and the stronger their cultivation talent would be in the future. Of course, this was only a rumor. As for whether it was true or not, Emo Qingyun didn't know. After a brief moment of surprise, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He hurriedly followed behind Xiang Ku and the other person, heading deeper into the mountain valley. As they went deeper into the mountain valley, Emo Qingyun discovered that there was an extremely strange miasma in the mountain valley. Under the corrosion of this miasma, he discovered that the flow of his blood was greatly suppressed. Furthermore, as he went deeper into the mountain valley, the suppression of his blood became more and more intense. Not only that, but under the suppression of his blood, he discovered that it was extremely difficult for him to maintain the hidden door. After a while, Emo Qingyun's hidden figure slowly emerged. As Emo Qingyun's figure appeared, Xiang Ku and the other person walking in front discovered Emo Qingyun behind them. When the two of them discovered Emo Qingyun, they revealed shocked expressions. They were very surprised by Emo Qingyun's appearance. A human brat actually followed us to the Ghost Fetus mountain valley. After sizing up Emo Qingyun, Xiang Ku exclaimed in surprise. The corners of his mouth slightly curled up as he sneered. this brat is actually able to follow us here as a human cultivator. His physique must meet the requirements of the sect master. Don't say so much. If we capture this brat, the sect master will definitely reward us handsomely. After Xiang Ku's words fell, Diren, who was beside him, revealed an impatient expression and urged Xiang Ku. Then, Xiang Ku and Diren no longer hesitated and immediately attacked Mo Qingyun. Yin Yang Child Gourd, collect. Xiang Ku and Diren didn't hold back at all. They directly formed a hand seal and pointed at the Yin Yang Child Gourd in their hand. Then, the Yin Yang Child Gourd spat out a cloud of green mist, which rapidly swallowed Mo Qingyun. Previously, Mo Qingyun had seen the power of the Yin Yang Child Gourd. At this moment, he naturally didn't dare to be enveloped by the green mist. His figure quickly moved and dodged backwards. The devil's shadow followed him like a shadow. Mo Qingyun's feet moved, and 8 afterimages appeared behind him. He quickly avoided being engulfed by the green mist. After avoiding the green mist, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate. He immediately took out the colorless sword and swung it twice at the green mist. Following that, 2 9-colored sword radiances were released from the colorless sword and violently slammed into the green mist. Zzz. When the 9-colored sword lights bombarded the green mist, a burst of ear-piercing sound was heard, and clouds of gray mist emerged. However, after the gray mist dissipated, the green mist was still intact and emitted a terrifying aura. What a strange green mist! After seeing the scene in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed. Shock flashed across his face, and he said inwardly, "With my current strength, even a half-venerable expert may not be able to block my full-strength sword attack. I didn't expect that I couldn't destroy this green mist." The scene at this moment was really beyond Mo Qingyun's expectations. It was completely out of his expectations. Seeing Mo Qingyun's surprised expression, Xiang Ku revealed a complacent smile and said coldly, "Boy, the mysterious Yin evil qi in the Yin Yang Child Gourd was collected by the mysterious Yin ghost crevice of the ancient demon immortal Black Yin ancestor in the Wasteland continent. You don't have the ability to destroy it. Also, let me tell you one more thing. In this Ghost Fetus Valley, other clansmen can only display 50% of their strength, except for our Ghost Fetus clan." Chapter 10:27. Xiang Ku, let's not talk nonsense with this kid. Let's fuse the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd to deal with him. After Di Jiang finished speaking, he raised his hand and made a hand seal, pointing at the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd in his hand. When Di Jiang activated the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd, Xiang Ku did not hesitate and quickly activated the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd in his hand. Then, the 2 gourds shone brightly and flew out from Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's hands, slowly fusing in the air. After the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd fused, it became a big black and white gourd, emitting a mysterious aura. This Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd is worthy of being an ancient demon immortal's treasure. Sensing the aura emitted by the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd, Mo Qingyun's expression changed, and he could not help but sigh in his heart. While Mo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, he secretly made a decision. He must get the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun decided to get the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd, the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd shone brightly. A cloud of black and white gas flew out from the Yin Yang Mother-Child Gourd, turning into a huge demon wolf shadow. Awo! The demonic wolf's phantom howled towards the sky. Then, it flew towards Mo Qingyun at an extremely fast speed. Its figure flashed, and it waved its 2 wolf claws towards Mo Qingyun's chest. Facing the bombardment of the demon wolf shadow, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless. He immediately waved the colorless sword to block the bombardment of the demon wolf shadow. Dang dang dang, the wolf claws bombarded the colorless sword, producing a crisp sound, creating a powerful impact. Under this impact, Mo Qingyun's body was shaken back, and the colorless sword was also hit by the bombardment. The corrosive power of the yin-yang mother-child gourd is too terrifying. It can even corrode a spiritual weapon. Looking at the colorless sword that was corroded by the demon wolf shadow, Mo Qingyun could not help but feel distressed. Although the colorless sword was only a beginner-level spirit tool, Mo Qingyun was very fond of it. Who would have thought that it would be destroyed by the demon wolf shadow? Then, Mo Qingyun put away the heavily damaged colorless sword and raised his hand to take out the scorching halberd. Although the Moxibustion flame halberd was severely damaged, it used to be a top-grade spiritual weapon. Its strength was not something the colorless sword could compare to. Heavenly Flame's sky-breaking halberd. After taking out the Moxibustion flame halberd, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately slashed at the demon wolf shadow. Then, a fire dragon shadow that was dozens of meters long erupted from the scorching flame halberd and charged towards the demon wolf shadow. Bang! When the fire dragon shadow and the devil wolf shadow collided, it instantly emitted a shocking sound and erupted with a shocking wave of origin energy. Unfortunately, although the fire dragon shadow's attack had caused a huge commotion, it was still unable to defeat the demon wolf shadow. Kid, don't waste your energy. You can't defeat this mysterious yin qi by yourself. Seeing Mo Qingyun's tenacious resistance, Xiang Ku revealed a complacent smile and said self-righteous words. In his view, Mo Qingyun's current actions were undoubtedly useless and a waste of energy. Originally, I was still thinking about how to break this mysterious yin qi, but your words reminded me. Hearing Xiang Ku's words, Mo Qingyun's eyes suddenly lit up as he thought of a way to break the mysterious yin qi. This mysterious yin qi is indeed powerful, but the person controlling it is not. If I kill the two of you, this mysterious yin qi will be destroyed by itself. In Mo Qingyun's view, the current situation was similar to capturing the leader first to capture the bandit. The mysterious yin qi was controlled by the yin-yang child mother gourd, and the yin-yang child mother gourd was controlled by the two people. According to this logic, as long as Mo Qingyun captured Xiang Ku and Diheng, the threat of the mysterious yin qi would be destroyed by itself. After thinking like this, Mo Qingyun no longer thought about it. His figure immediately moved, and he blasted the halberd towards Xiang Ku and Diheng. Under Mo Qingyun's stab, the blazing halberd immediately erupted with an astonishing heat wave, and the flames on the halberd surged. Then, the flames turned into a fire dragon halberd light, and swallowed Xiang Ku and Diheng. Facing Mo Qingyun's attack, not only did Xiang Ku and Diheng not show any panic, on the contrary, their expressions revealed ridicule. Looking at the two's performance, they seemed to have expected Mo Qingyun to make such a move, and had already thought of a countermeasure. Kid, the yin-yang child mother gourd is the magic weapon of an ancient demon immortal. How could it only have the ability to attack? Diheng revealed a cold smile, and said a complacent sentence. Then, he and Xiang Ku formed a hand seal again. Under the control of Xiang Ku and Diheng, the yin-yang child mother gourd flashed with a black light, and quickly flew above Diheng and Diheng. Then, a black light flew out from the yin-yang child mother gourd, and enveloped Xiang Ku and Diheng. After this black light enveloped Diheng and Diheng, the dragon shadow halberd light instantly arrived, and directly blasted the black light. Bang bang bang. A series of violent sounds rang out, and the dragon shadow halberd light slowly dissipated, and the black light swallowed by the dragon shadow halberd light appeared. Although the black light had dimmed a lot, it was not destroyed by the dragon shadow halberd light, and Xiang Ku and Diheng were safe and sound. What a pity, just a little bit more. If your attack was a little stronger, the mysterious yin qi would not have been able to resist it. Kid, if you were allowed to display your true strength, I'm afraid your strength would be comparable to a half-venerable. Unfortunately, this is the Ghost Fetus Valley. Brat, are you regretting that you didn't make a move on us earlier? Seeing that Emo Qingyun was unable to defeat the mysterious Yin Qi, Xiang Ku and Di Heng revealed a complacent expression and began to mock Emo Qingyun. You don't need to be so proud. Did I say that I've already used my full strength? Looking at the complacent faces of Xiang Ku and Di Heng, Emo Qingyun revealed a playful expression and asked a rhetorical question. Just now I was just warming up and wanted to test the power of the mysterious Yin Qi. Now that I've more or less understood it, it's time to deal with you too. Domain Gate. As Emo Qingyun's words fell, he no longer hesitated and immediately displayed the Domain Gate. As soon as the Domain Gate appeared, it enveloped the surrounding area of 10 miles, forming a small independent space. Domain. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Xiang Ku and Di Heng's expressions immediately changed, revealing a strong sense of fear. Now that Emo Qingyun had grasped the Domain Gate, the surrounding miasma suppression of his blood and qi would be greatly weakened. In this way, the strength that Emo Qingyun could display would be much stronger than before. If that was the case, whether the mysterious Yin Qi could block Emo Qingyun was another matter. After thinking of this, Xiang Ku and Di Heng's complexions instantly turned pale. Chapter 10:28. Under the defense of the Domain Gate, the surrounding miasma was immediately blocked outside, weakening the blood qi suppression on Emo Qingyun. With the blood qi suppression weakened, Emo Qingyun's movement of Yuan power immediately became much smoother. Seeing that the blood qi in his body was no longer suppressed and the movement of Yuan power was no longer blocked, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immediately swung his halberd at the Di duo. As the halberd swung out, heat waves instantly surged on the Skyflame halberd, once again erupting with a terrifying heat wave that transformed into a fire dragon with a surging aura. Roar. Once the fire dragon halberd light formed, it emitted a low dragon roar and blasted towards the Di duo. Bang! The fire dragon halberd light collided with the dark Yin Qi and immediately emitted a deafening sound. After the loud sound, the place where the Di duo was formed a Yuan power storm with a shocking aura. Under the rapid rotation of this Yuan power storm, a terrifying suction force was emitted from within, sucking in the surrounding trees and rocks. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. His figure hurriedly moved and swiftly retreated to avoid being pulled into the Yuan power storm by that suction force. Ah! My hand, the bones in my arm are broken. Save me. As long as you save me, I can promise you anything. When Emo Qingyun retreated to dodge, the miserable cries of the Di duo sounded out from within the Yuan power storm. However, Emo Qingyun did not pay attention to the Di duo's cry for help, and moved to save the two of them within the Yuan power storm. Emo Qingyun was very clear in his heart that although the Di duo's cultivation was not high, it was not to the extent of dying within the Yuan power storm. A moment later, as the Yuan power storm gradually dissipated, the figures of the Di duo slowly appeared. At this moment, the Di duo's appearance was incomparably miserable. Their bodies were covered in blood, and there was practically no place that was unscathed. Especially Xiang Ku's outcome was the most miserable. More than half of his arm was directly twisted off, revealing a section of ghastly white bone. Emo Qingyun glanced at the Di Jiang duo before he ignored them. He raised his hand and waved at the yin-yang mother-child gourd on the ground. With one move from Emo Qingyun, the yin-yang mother-child gourd was lifted up by a ball of white light and flew towards Emo Qingyun's hand. Brat, this yin-yang mother-child gourd is our sect master's magic treasure. If you dare to touch it. When he saw Emo Qingyun's actions, Di Jiang's expression immediately changed greatly, and he began to threaten Emo Qingyun. Noisy! Without waiting for Di Jiang to finish speaking, Emo Qingyun revealed an impatient expression and threw a palm at him. Under Emo Qingyun's palm, Di Jiang's body was immediately sent flying and heavily fell to the ground. Puff! Di Jiang's injuries were not light to begin with. Now that he was hit by Mo Qingyun's palm, his injuries immediately became much more serious, and blood continuously flowed out of his mouth. After seeing Di Zhang's miserable state, Xiang Ku's body immediately trembled, and he no longer showed any disrespect to Mo Qingyun. Subsequently, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku were silent like cicadas in winter, and they stood to the side and silently looked at Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Di Jiang and Xiang Ku were well behaved, Mo Qingyun no longer paid attention to them, and shifted his gaze to the yin-yang mother-child gourd. After carefully sizing up the yin-yang mother-child gourd, Mo Qingyun's brows slightly furrowed as he sensed a wisp of soul fluctuation from it. The soul imprint on the yin-yang mother-child gourd should not be Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's. It should have been left behind by the sect master they spoke of. Sensing the soul fluctuation from the yin-yang mother-child gourd, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated, and immediately released a wisp of soul power, which seeped into the yin-yang mother-child gourd. As his soul power seeped into the yin-yang mother-child gourd, Mo Qingyun quickly found the soul imprint within the gourd. "Who are you? You dare to have designs on this old man's yin-yang mother-child gourd? You've got guts." Noticing that Mo Qingyun's soul power had seeped in, the soul imprint on the yin-yang mother-child gourd transformed into the form of an old man and confronted Mo Qingyun. A soul cultivation at the peak of the divinity realm. Looking at the soul imprint that had transformed into the form of an old man, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a faint smile, as he knew the depth of his opponent's soul cultivation. Against the opponent's soul cultivation at the peak of the divinity realm, and against his current soul cultivation at the middle level of the Wanxiang realm, it was not much of a threat. Not only that, with Mo Qingyun's current soul cultivation at the middle level of the Wanxiang realm, it was very easy for him to wipe out the soul imprint of a person at the divinity realm. However, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to do so. Instead, he sized up his opponent with a faint smile on his face. "Young man, since you know my soul cultivation, you should also know how powerful I am. Why don't you obediently withdraw your soul power from the yin-yang mother-child gourd?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun had seen through his soul cultivation, the old man's expression turned cold, and he ordered Mo Qingyun indifferently. After ordering Mo Qingyun, the old man seemed to have thought of something, and he changed the topic. "Young man, I don't know how you got the yin-yang mother-child gourd, but if you bring it to the Ghost Mound sect now, I can give you a good fortune." "You're giving me a good fortune?" Hearing the old man's words, the smile on Mo Qingyun's face became wider. He nodded and said with a faint smile, "Okay, I'll definitely bring the yin-yang mother-child gourd to the Ghost Mound sect." "Good, you're worth teaching. In that case, I'll wait for your arrival." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the old man immediately showed a satisfied smile and nodded to Mo Qingyun with a smile. "In that case, I'll take my leave." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly at the old man and did not continue to talk to him. He withdrew his soul power from the yin-yang mother-child gourd. However, before Mo Qingyun withdrew his soul power from the yin-yang mother-child gourd, he left a soul imprint in the gourd. With Mo Qingyun's soul cultivation realm, leaving a soul imprint in the yin-yang mother-child gourd would naturally not be discovered by the old man. By leaving this soul imprint, Mo Qingyun could conveniently wipe out the old man's soul imprint with lightning speed when the time came. The Ghost Mound sect? Recalling the old man's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He turned his head to look at the D duo and said, "Now, I'll give the two of you a choice. Do you choose to submit to me, or do you choose to be killed by me immediately?" "We'll submit." When they heard the words of Mo Qingyun's duo, the Di Jiang duo did not hesitate to submit to them. Seeing the D duo's reaction, Mo Qingyun nodded his head in satisfaction. He said to the two of them in a deep voice, "In that case, the two of you can release your souls. I'll plant a soul imprint in your souls." "Yes." The D duo nodded and released their souls, allowing Mo Qingyun to plant a soul imprint in them. After planting a soul imprint in the D-duo's souls, he said to the two of them in a deep voice, "The two of you tell me the situation of the Ghost Mound sect in detail." Yes. Chapter 1029. After listening to Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's explanation, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the Ghost Tomb sect's strength. The Ghost Tomb sect was one of the three most powerful forces in the mysterious Yin mountain range, second only to the mysterious Yin sect and Ghost King Palace. Currently, the strongest person in the Ghost Tomb sect was the sect master, Deng Ronghua, who had broken through to the sovereign realm 30 years ago. In the Ghost Tomb sect, the people second only to Deng Ronghua were Grand Elder Pang Dian, Ancestor Deng Xing, and Vice Sect Master Wu Ilian. These three people's cultivation had stagnated at the half-sovereign realm for hundreds of years, and they were only one step away from the sovereign realm. Di Jiang and Xiang Ku were disciples of Deng Xing's lineage, so they could be considered as members of Deng Ronghua's direct faction. It was also because of this that Di Jiang and Xiang Ku were able to gain Deng Ronghua's trust and were given the Yin-Yang mother-child gourd to collect ghosts. In addition to Deng Ronghua's group of 4, the Ghost Tomb sect also had more than 10 peak Transcendent Realm powerhouses and hundreds of high-level Transcendent Realm powerhouses. In general, in terms of overall strength, the Ghost Tomb sect was not weaker than the 9 great divine mountains of the Heavenly Soul continent. You two sit down and heal your injuries first. I will refine a furnace of Nirvana body shaping pills for you two. After learning about the Ghost Tomb sect's situation, Mo Qingyun instructed Di Jiang and Xiang Ku before entering the 5 Directions small pagoda. Disappeared? Seeing Mo Qingyun suddenly disappear, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's expressions changed, shocked by the scene in front of them. After being stunned for a short while, Xiang Ku and Xiang Ku didn't think much about it and immediately sat down to heal their injuries. When Xiang Ku and Xiang Ku began to heal, Mo Qingyun had already arrived at the 2nd floor of the 5 Directions small pagoda. He placed the sacred beast cauldron in front of him and began to refine pills. The Nirvana body shaping pill was a lot lower than the 9 Revolution body shaping pill, but it was more than enough to restore Xiang Ku and Xiang Ku's bodies. Mo Qingyun could even refine the 9 Revolution body shaping pill, so refining the Nirvana body shaping pill naturally wouldn't be a problem. Under Mo Qingyun's wholehearted refining, the medicinal ingredients were purified one by one. They slowly fused together and condensed into a pill. Several hours later, a rich pill fragrance wafted out from the sacred beast cauldron. At the same time, a strange scene appeared above the holy beast cauldron. This was the elixir phenomenon. Seeing the appearance of the elixir, Mo Qingyun performed the lightning pill tempering hand, allowing the elixir to undergo the tempering of the lightning tribulation and improve its quality. A moment later, the tribulation cloud dissipated, and 2 golden pills floated in front of Mo Qingyun. Upon seeing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He raised his hand and kept the 2 Nirvana body shaping pills before leaving the 5 directional small pagoda in a flash. Exiting the 5 directional pagoda, Mo Qingyun handed 2 Nirvana body sculpting pills to Xiang Ku and Xiao Chen, allowing them to recover from their injuries with the help of these pills. Receiving the Nirvana body sculpting pills from Mo Qingyun's hands, Xiang Ku and Xiao Chen didn't think too much and swallowed the pills without hesitation. With their eyesight, they could still see that the pills that Mo Qingyun gave them were extraordinary. Seeing that Xiang Ku and Xiao Chen had taken the pills to heal their injuries, Mo Qingyun sat down cross-legged at the side. He took out the Yin-Yang Sun Mother gourd and carefully observed and studied it. With Mo Qingyun's middle-level manifestation stage soul power, under his careful observation and study, Deng Ronghua wouldn't be able to sense it. After Mo Qingyun sensed it, he was surprised to find that the Yin-Yang Sun Mother gourd, in addition to attack and defense, also had the function of refining ghosts. Not only that, but the ghosts refined by the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd could also be absorbed by others to improve their soul cultivation. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun was overjoyed. In this way, he could use the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd to improve his soul cultivation. I didn't expect this Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd to be able to refine ghost power to assist soul cultivation. Looking at the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd in his hand, Mo Qingyun said in surprise. He used the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd to improve his soul cultivation. Under Mo Qingyun's urging, wisps of pure soul power floated out of the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd and were absorbed into Mo Qingyun's sea of consciousness in an overbearing manner. After absorbing the soul power into his sea of consciousness, Mo Qingyun began to refine it, refining it bit by bit to strengthen his soul. Immediately, the following time passed by as Mo Qingyun and the other two cultivated. A few days later, Xiang Ku and Di Zhang's bodies were finally completely reconstructed. With the help of the Nirvana body sculpting pills, the two's bodies were reconstructed as if they were reborn from fire and became much stronger than before. In addition, after their bodies were strengthened, their cultivation also increased by a lot. Although they didn't directly break through to the 8th level of the Divine Power Realm, they were only a paper window away from it. As long as the two of them found some time to go into seclusion, they could easily break through to the 8th level of the Divine Power Realm. At this time, Mo Qingyun, who was cultivating to the side, also opened his eyes with joy. After a few days of cultivation, Mo Qingyun had completely grasped the method of using the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd to assist soul cultivation. He believed that with the help of the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd, the speed of his soul cultivation would increase by 10 times, or even 100 times. Coming out of cultivation, Mo Qingyun sensed the auras of the two and nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. Judging from your auras, your cultivation should be able to break through to the 8th level of the Divine Power Realm very soon. It's all because of the effect of the Young Lord's spirit pills that our cultivation could increase after our bodies were reconstructed. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the two revealed respectful and grateful expressions and hurriedly bowed to Mo Qingyun. No need to be so courteous. Get up. Seeing the two's actions, Mo Qingyun waved his hand with a faint smile and said in a deep voice, Di Jiang, Xiang Ku, take me to the Ghost Tomb sect. Yes. Hearing Mo Qingyun's command, the two didn't hesitate and immediately led the way for Mo Qingyun. As they went deeper into the Ghost Fetus Valley, Mo Qingyun frowned and revealed a worried expression. The miasma in this Ghost Fetus Valley is too strong. If I want to resist the corrosion of the miasma, I have to constantly activate the domain gate. This isn't a long-term solution. Seeing Mo Qingyun's expression, the more attentive Di Zhang's expression changed. He took out a strange stone and handed it to Mo Qingyun. Young Lord, this is an exorcism stone. After you refine it, you won't be corroded by the miasma. Exorcism stone? Mo Qingyun took the evil-expelling miasma-repelling stone from Di Zhang's hands and carefully examined it before he began to refine it. The exorcism stone was a very special stone. It wasn't a particularly powerful magic treasure. Chapter 1030. After a few breaths, Mo Qingyun successfully refined the miasma-repelling stone and activated it to resist the miasma's corrosion. Sure enough, when Mo Qingyun activated the evil-expelling miasma-repelling stone, the corrosion of the miasma disappeared. Mo Qingyun's face lit up with joy when he saw this as a brilliant smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Without the miasma's corrosion, it'll be much easier for me to do things in the Ghost Mound sect from now on. After refining the miasma-repelling stone, Mo Qingyun and the others didn't delay any longer and immediately set off for the Ghost Mound sect. Without the miasma's corrosion and interference, Mo Qingyun and the others' speed immediately increased by several times. After several hours, Mo Qingyun and the others arrived in front of an enormous skull. This was the location of the Ghost Mound sect. This enormous skull was formed by countless small skulls. The empty eyes of the small skulls continuously flashed with a bewitching red light, causing one's heart to palpitate at the sight of it. The myriad skulls devouring formation. When he saw the enormous skull in front of him, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly as he recognized the origin of this formation. The myriad skulls devouring formation was a formation that could transform yang qi into a soft yin qi. Those who practiced the soft yin method would be able to increase their cultivation efficiency if they cultivated within it. After taking a look at the enormous skull, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate any longer and walked towards the skull's mouth. When Mo Qingyun approached the skull's mouth, the red light in the small skull's eyes shone onto the three of them. Under the illumination of the red light, Mo Qingyun immediately felt as if someone was spying on him, as if someone wanted to see through him. However, the person spying on him didn't have a high level of soul cultivation, only at the peak of the sky spirit realm. They couldn't see through him. Seeing that they couldn't see through Mo Qingyun's depths, the soul force withdrew from Mo Qingyun's body. Seeing that the soul force had withdrawn, Mo Qingyun and the others walked into the Ghost Mound sect and stepped into the skull's mouth. As soon as Mo Qingyun walked into the skull, he felt a wave of cold yin qi drilling into his body. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun circulated his yuan power to resist the corrosion of the cold yin qi. Di-Rin and Xiang Ku's status in the Ghost Mound sect wasn't low. Everyone they met along the way all bowed to them. As for Mo Qingyun, who was following behind the two, the others had doubts in their hearts, but they didn't ask the two. In next to no time, Mo Qingyun arrived at their residence under the lead of Di Heng and Li Qianxuan. "Young lord, what do you want us to do next?" After returning to his residence, Di-Rin showed a respectful expression as he inquired about Mo Qingyun's plan. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun frowned slightly. He took out the yin-yang mother-child gourd and handed it to Di-Rin. "The value of this yin-yang mother-child gourd is extraordinary. If you lose it, even if the two of you are Deng Xing's direct disciples, you will still be severely punished by Deng Ronghua. Return the yin-yang mother-child gourd to Deng Ronghua first." Deng Ronghua was a sovereign realm expert. Before Mo Qingyun had full confidence, he didn't want to confront him head-on. Moreover, if Mo Qingyun wanted to control the Ghost Mound sect, he would need Di-Rin and Xiang Ku's assistance for a period of time. Therefore, under the current circumstances, he couldn't let Di-Rin and Xiang Ku be punished. Of course, the main reason why Mo Qingyun dared to return the yin-yang mother-child gourd to Deng Ronghua was because he had already left a soul brand in it. As long as Mo Qingyun was willing, he could erase Deng Ronghua's soul brand at any time and control the yin-yang mother-child gourd back to him. Speaking of which, Mo Qingyun's current actions could be considered as having nothing to fear. Although Mo Qingyun had nothing to fear, Di-Rin and Xiang Ku were unaware of this. When they saw Mo Qingyun's actions, they were immediately moved. In order to prevent the two of them from being punished, Mo Qingyun was actually willing to hand over the yin-yang mother-child gourd. This had exceeded their expectations. In their opinion, even their master, Deng Xing, wouldn't be able to do what Mo Qingyun had done in such a situation. Feeling grateful to Mo Qingyun, Di-Rin looked at the yin-yang mother-child gourd and said worriedly, "Young lord, if you hand the yin-yang mother-child gourd to Deng Ronghua, he will definitely carefully store it away. At that time, if you want to take it back, I'm afraid. Don't worry, I have my own plans." In response to Di-Ren's worries, Mo Qingyun waved his hand nonchalantly and said solemnly, "The most important thing now is to prevent the two of you from being punished by Deng Ronghua. As for other matters, we can slowly discuss them later." "Thank you, young lord." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the emotional expressions on Di Jiang and Di Qing's faces immediately became even more intense. They had never expected that Mo Qingyun would care so much about them. It was not a loss to follow such a master. Next, Emo Qingyun began to instruct the two of them on how to deal with Deng Ronghua. After a while, seeing that everything had been properly instructed, Emo Qingyun let the two of them leave and went to see Deng Ronghua with the Yin-Yang mother-child gourd. After the two of them left, Emo Qingyun walked into a room and entered the 5 directions small tower to cultivate. 15 minutes later, the two of them arrived at Deng Ronghua's residence. Xiang Ku and Di Rin greet sect master. When they arrived at Deng Ronghua's residence, Di Rin and Xiang Ku revealed respectful expressions and bowed towards Deng Ronghua. Humph. Seeing the arrival of Di Jiang and Xiang Ku, Deng Ronghua coldly snorted with a displeased expression and said angrily, Xiang Ku, Di Jiang, the two of you are truly daring. You actually dare to lose this sovereign's yin-yang child mother gourd. Sect master, please forgive us. Please listen to our explanation. When they heard Deng Ronghua's words, Di Rin and Xiang Ku's expressions immediately trembled. They hurriedly knelt towards Deng Ronghua and took out the yin-yang mother-child gourd from their Qiankuan bags. Sect master, when we returned to the sect, we met a young man in strange clothing. He handed the yin-yang mother-child gourd to the two of us. Therefore, the yin-yang mother-child gourd was not lost. When he saw the yin-yang mother-child gourd in the two's hands, Deng Ronghua's expression changed slightly. He was a little surprised that the yin-yang mother-child gourd was in their hands. However, when he recalled the conversation he had with Emo Qingyun before, he felt relieved. Presumably, Emo Qingyun was afraid of his revenge, so he brought the yin-yang mother-child gourd to the Ghost Tomb sect to return it. Coincidentally, he met Di Rin and Xiang Ku on the way and handed the yin-yang mother-child gourd to them so that they could return it on his behalf. In this way, although the whole thing was a little coincidental, it could still be explained. Chapter 1031. Sect Master is mighty. That brat must have heard of Sect Master's fame, that's why he obediently sent the yin-yang sun-mother gourd over. That's right, Sect Master's might has shaken the entire mysterious Yin mountain range. With tributes from all directions, Ghost King Hall and mysterious Yin sect will definitely be trampled under your feet. Although they had expected Deng Ronghua to say this, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku still immediately flattered him when they heard his words. Alright, you two don't need to flatter me anymore. Hearing Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's flattering words, Deng Ronghua's complexion improved a lot. He waved his hand at the two of them and said, The two of you are lucky this time. The yin-yang mother-child gourd was sent back by someone. Otherwise, even if the two of you are ancestor Deng Xing's personal disciples, this old man would definitely kill you to vent my anger. Thank you for your kindness, Sect Master. Di Jiang and Xiang Ku trembled when they heard Deng Ronghua's words. They hurriedly expressed their gratitude to Deng Ronghua. However, while they were grateful to Deng Ronghua, they were even more grateful to Emo Qingyun. In their opinion, if Emo Qingyun had not taken out the yin-yang sun-mother gourd, Deng Ronghua would never have let them go. In this way, compared to the kindness Deng Ronghua had shown them, what Emo Qingyun had given them was undoubtedly more precious. If there's nothing else, you two may leave. Seeing that the yin-yang sun-mother gourd had returned, Deng Ronghua showed an impatient expression and waved his hand at Di Jiang and Xiang Ku. Yes. Seeing Deng Ronghua signal them to leave, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku respectfully nodded and prepared to leave Deng Ronghua's small courtyard. However, when the two of them were about to leave the small courtyard, their expressions suddenly changed as they thought of something extremely important. They had not reported to Deng Ronghua about the appearance of a quasi-imperial impermanence in the spatial crack that connected to the ghost path. When they thought of this, the Di Jiang duo turned around and once again returned in front of Deng Ronghua. In a deep voice, they said, Chief, this time when the two of us went to the spatial crack that connected to the ghost road to capture the dead souls that came out from the spatial crack, we discovered an extremely bad thing. What is it? The corners of Deng Ronghua's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. His expression was grave and stern as he looked at the Di Jiang duo. His eyes were filled with iciness. That day, when we were capturing the souls of the dead near the spatial rift, a quasi-venerable Anitya Hellguard passed through it. Not only that, but after the dead souls passed through the spatial rift, they lined up like an army under the instructions of the Anitya Hellguards. Sect Master, the souls of the dead have always hated our ghost fetus clan. If we allow their army to enter the demon-suppressing space, they will definitely threaten the safety of our clan. Recalling the lineup of the departed souls, Di Jiang and Li Chia revealed expressions of lingering fear as they reported with grave expressions. The spatial crack has actually been shattered to such an extent. Hearing the two's report, Deng Ronghua's expression instantly became solemn, revealing a trace of worry as he muttered to himself. It seems like I have to contact Ghost King Palace and Mysterious Een Sect immediately and discuss with them how to deal with the ghost path. I'll deal with the spatial crack later. You two can leave now. Deng Ronghua waved his hand at Di Jiang and Li Chia before turning around and walking back into the house, no longer paying any attention to the two in the courtyard. Seeing Deng Ronghua's actions, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku did not continue to linger and hurriedly left Deng Ronghua's residence. After leaving Deng Ronghua's residence, the two did not return to their own residence but instead made a trip to Deng Xing's residence. Deng Xing was their master. Since the two of them had returned from a mission, they naturally had to report to Deng Xing. After leaving Deng Ronghua's residence, Di Jiang and Li Chia's faces revealed lingering fear. They were still terrified by the situation just now. Although the situation just now had seemed peaceful, it had actually been extremely dangerous. Di Jiang and Li Chia knew very well that Deng Ronghua had intended to kill them. Di Jiang and Li Chia went to Deng Xing's residence and briefly recounted their experiences before returning to their own residence. Of course, the two of them had concealed the matter regarding Mo Qingyun. Di Jiang and Li Chia returned to their own residence. Seeing that Mo Qingyun was not in the small courtyard, they did not think too much about it and returned to their own rooms to cultivate in seclusion. They planned to use this period of time to directly break through the limit of the transcendent realm in one go. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun and the other two spent the following time cultivating on the second floor of the Five Directions small tower. After arriving at the second floor of the Five Directions small tower, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate in the slightest and immediately immersed himself in cultivation. However, Mo Qingyun was not in a hurry to raise his cultivation level. Instead, he prepared to cultivate a few legacy martial arts for a while. After this period of cultivation, his cultivation had advanced a step further than before and he could raise the level of a few legacy martial arts by a level. Mo Qingyun first cultivated the untraceable demonic shadow. Compared to the other martial arts, the untraceable demonic shadow was currently more practical. Currently, Mo Qingyun's combat strength was no weaker than a half-venerable expert. Even if he increased his combat strength, the increase in power would not be very obvious. On the contrary, if Mo Qingyun could increase his speed by a level, his combat strength would immediately increase by a level. This was what people often said. Only speed was unbeatable in the world of martial arts. As Mo Qingyun immersed himself in cultivation, afterimages soon appeared behind him. As these afterimages flashed continuously, others could not see where Mo Qingyun's real body was at all. It gave people a dreamlike feeling. Moreover, as time passed, the number of afterimages behind Mo Qingyun also increased. Half a month later, the number of afterimages behind Mo Qingyun directly increased from the original 8 to 27. However, after the number of afterimages increased to 27, the speed of the increase decreased significantly. 2 months later, the number of afterimages behind Mo Qingyun once again rose to a new height, reaching 36. At this moment, Mo Qingyun's speed had increased by nearly 10 times compared to before, far surpassing the speed of an ordinary half-venerable expert. With my current speed, there's still a large gap between me and an ordinary sovereign expert. Recalling his peak speed in his previous life, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly, revealing a dignified expression as he said, "It seems that if I want to surpass a sovereign expert in speed, I have to cultivate the untraceable demonic shadow to the extent of shrinking the ground into an inch." After thinking about it this way, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and immersed himself in cultivation again, preparing to cultivate the untraceable demonic shadow to the extent of shrinking the ground into an inch. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. At this moment Mo Qingyun moved. Although the afterimages behind him had all disappeared, he appeared 1,000 meters away. Chapter 1032. Traceless Spectre has finally reached the stage of shrinking the ground. Seeing the progress of Traceless Spectre, Mo Qingyun's face immediately lit up with joy and excitement. After half a year of relentless training on the second floor of the 5 Directions Small Pagoda, he finally succeeded. Since Traceless Spectre has been completed, the next step should be Fiend Fist Shattering Star River. After Mo Qingyun made the decision in his heart, he no longer hesitated and began to try to practice the 4th move of Fiend Fist Shattering Star River. With a point of his finger, Yuan power immediately emerged from Mo Qingyun's index finger, forming a huge black vortex. After the black vortex appeared, it turned into the shape of an index finger and blasted forward at an extremely fast speed. After the black giant finger flew out, it emitted an astonishing devouring power and violently swallowed the surrounding Yuan power. After devouring the surrounding Yuan power, the black giant finger's power instantly skyrocketed and its devouring power became several times stronger. However, as the upper devouring spirit finger continued to devour Yuan power and strengthen its power and devouring power, Mo Qingyun's control over it became increasingly difficult. After a while, as the power of the upper devouring spirit finger continued to grow, Mo Qingyun finally lost control over it. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun withdrew his Yuan power and soul from the upper devouring spirit finger. Bang! After losing the control and stability of Mo Qingyun's Yuan power and soul, the upper devouring spirit finger lost its stability and directly exploded on the second floor of the 5 Directions Small Pagoda. As expected of the 4th move of Fiend Fist Shattering Star River, its power is indeed incomparable to the previous 3 moves. Seeing the explosive power of the upper devouring spirit finger, Mo Qingyun could not help but sigh in his heart. With a surprised expression, he said, "Judging from the power of the upper devouring spirit finger, as long as I can increase my control over it, it will be able to continuously devour Yuan power and become stronger." Thinking of the scene when he fought with others and how the upper devouring spirit finger would become stronger and eventually kill the enemy, Mo Qingyun's blood surged. Soon after, Mo Qingyun stopped thinking about it and immediately began to practice the devouring spirit finger. As he continued to practice the devouring spirit finger, Mo Qingyun became more and more proficient in controlling it. Time passed bit by bit as Mo Qingyun cultivated. Another 3 months passed. Under Mo Qingyun's constant practice, he finally cultivated the devouring spirit finger to the level of small success. Mo Qingyun revealed a brilliant smile when he saw that Xiao Chen had cultivated the devouring spirit finger to the minor accomplishment stage. He said joyfully, "With my current strength, even if I can't defeat a supreme stage expert, I can at least protect myself." After calming down the joy in his heart, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and prepared to practice the 3rd move of the 5 Direction Heaven Breaking technique. Master, your subordinate has something to report. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to continue cultivating, Di Zhang's voice came from outside the room. Hearing this, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and returned to his room from the five-direction pagoda. After returning to his room, Mo Qingyun walked outside and asked Di Zhang, "Why are the two of you looking for me?" "Master, after a few days of cultivation, our cultivations have broken through to the 8th level of the divine ability realm." When they thought about their breakthroughs, joy appeared on the faces of Di Zhang and Di Jiu. They spoke excitedly before continuing, "Master knows that we've both broken through, so he wants to hold a banquet for us. He's invited all the disciples of our faction to celebrate. I wonder if Master would like to attend?" "Master, you're preparing to take control of our Ghost Tomb sect. This banquet might be a good opportunity." After hearing Di Zhang's words, Xiang Ku's expression changed and he hurriedly suggested to Mo Qingyun. After hearing Di Zhang and Di Zhang's words, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly and he nodded in agreement. If Mo Qingyun wanted to take over the Ghost Tomb sect, he naturally couldn't directly attack the entire Ghost Tomb sect. He had to control the forces of the Ghost Tomb sect one by one. The present celebration banquet was a good opportunity for Mo Qingyun to subdue Deng Xing's faction. He really couldn't miss it. "In this case, the two of you go to arrange it. At that time, I will attend the banquet with you." Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment and told Di Zhang and Di Zhang his plan. His expression changed slightly and he said, "By the way, I asked you to inquire about Qin Yongjun. Do you have any clues now?" Hearing Mo Qingyun mention Qin Yongjun, Di Zhang and Di Zhang's faces immediately became solemn and dignified. They said, "Master, according to the disciple who was sent out to investigate, Qin Yongjun seems to have fallen into the hands of Fang Yuan." "Fallen into the hands of Fang Yuan?" Hearing this, Mo Qingyun immediately frowned, and his expression showed a strong worry. The relationship between Tianqi Sacred Mountain and Tianjian Sacred Mountain was like fire and water. Now Qin Yongjun had fallen into the hands of Fang Yuan, which was not good news. "Master, in addition, we also inquired about another news." At this moment, when Mo Qingyun showed a worried face, Xiang Ku's expression became a little tense. He said with a serious face, "It is said that Fang Yuan is recently breaking through to the semi-venerable realm. Once his cultivation breaks through to the semi-venerable realm, he will take Qin Yongjun to Tianqi Sacred Mountain and kill Qin Yongjun in front of everyone in Tianqi Sacred Mountain." "Fang Yuan? Since you are in a hurry to die, I will fulfill your wish." Hearing Xiang Ku's words, Mo Qingyun's face immediately became gloomy to the extreme. His body exuded a strong intention to kill. He said to Di Zhang and Di Zhang, "Di Zhang, tell me the location of the Yinxian sect. I will go to the Yinxian sect." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Di Zhang and Di Zhang's expressions immediately changed greatly. They understood what Mo Qingyun was going to do. Immediately, Di Zhang showed a nervous expression and persuaded Mo Qingyun, "Master, the strength of the Yinxian sect is far beyond that of our Ghost Tomb sect. There are two superiors of the supreme realm in the sect. Moreover, the ancestor of the Yinxian sect, Huang Guan, has broken through to the supreme realm more than 1,000 years ago. You can't go there rashly." "Two superiors of the supreme realm?" Hearing Di Zhang's words, Mo Qingyun frowned tightly. He was surprised by the strength of the Yinxian sect. As the three superpowers of the Xianin mountain range, the gap between the Ghost Tomb sect and the Yinxian sect was surprisingly large. In this case, if he went directly to the Yinxian sect, it would indeed be a little reckless. After learning the strength of the Yinxian sect, Mo Qingyun showed a curious expression and asked Di Zhang, "The strength of the Yinxian sect is far beyond that of the Ghost Tomb sect. What about the strength of the Ghost King Hall?" "The overall strength of the Ghost King Hall is not as good as that of our Ghost Tomb sect, but the cultivation of Fanja, the Lord of the Ghost King Hall, is higher than that of our Lord. He has broken through to the Supreme Realm more than 300 years ago. In addition, the Ghost King Hall and our Ghost Tomb sect are of the same breath and branch. They both inherit from the evil Ghost Cave, an ancient sect. Although the Ghost King Hall and our Ghost Tomb sect are divided into two factions, we have been supporting each other to resist the oppression of the Ancient sect. Chapter 1033. So that's how it is. Hearing Xiang Ku and Di Zhang's explanation, Mo Qingyun had a clear understanding of the mysterious Yin mountain range's forces. It turned out that there was such a relationship between the Ghost Tomb sect and the Ghost King Palace. No wonder they could survive under the suppression of the mysterious Yin sect. With the combined strength of the Ghost King Palace and the Ghost Tomb sect, they indeed had the capital to compete with the mysterious Yin sect. Next, Mo Qingyun asked Di Jiang and Xiang Ku about some matters regarding the celebration banquet. He said, "I've recently cultivated a new martial art. You too try to receive a move from me." "Yes." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku revealed a surprised and curious expression. They hurriedly nodded at Mo Qingyun. Seeing Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's reaction, Mo Qingyun didn't say anything more to them. He directly pointed his finger at them. Instantly, Yuan power gathered on Mo Qingyun's index finger, forming a huge black whirlpool. Once this black whirlpool was formed, it turned into a huge black index finger, emitting a shocking devouring power. Under this devouring power, the Yuan power in the surrounding air was immediately sucked dry, strengthening the power of the finger. So strong. Sensing the power of the devouring spirit finger, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's expressions immediately trembled. A chill rose in their hearts. After a short moment of pondering, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku no longer hesitated and immediately attacked the devouring spirit finger. Under Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's full-strength attack, two ghost-like fist lights bombarded the devouring spirit finger. However, what Di Jiang and Xiang Ku didn't expect was that their attacks were directly devoured by the devouring spirit finger. After absorbing Di Jiang and Xiang Ku's joint attack, the power of the devouring spirit finger instantly doubled, reaching a level where it could threaten a 9th-level transcendent power expert. Devouring our joint attack? Devouring our attack, then turning it around to deal with us. After seeing this scene, Di Jiang and Xiang Ku were instantly dumbfounded, their entire bodies frozen on the spot. This kind of thing was simply too inconceivable to them. It was completely beyond their understanding. While the two of them were still in a daze, Mo Qingyun waved his arm slightly and changed the direction of his devouring spirit finger attack. Bang! Following that, the upper devouring spirit finger exploded in mid-air, releasing a terrifying wave of elemental energy. Swish, 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 as this wave of primordial qi swept out, it immediately attracted the attention of many masters of the Ghost Tomb sect. One after another, they came to Di Jiang's small courtyard. "Senior Brother Di, Senior Brother Xiang, what just happened?" "Junior Brother Di, I saw a fighting scene just now. Did the people of the mysterious Yin sect come to cause trouble again?" After these people arrived, they revealed cold and arrogant expressions as they interrogated Di Hen and Li Qie. "Senior brothers, junior brothers, you don't have to be nervous. Just now, it was just me and Xiang Ku fighting." Hearing everyone's question, Di Jiang smiled faintly and explained to them. Everyone's expressions eased up slightly when they heard Di Jiang's words, and they didn't continue asking. After that, everyone congratulated Di Jiang and Huang Xiaolong briefly before leaving their courtyard. As for Mo Qingyun, they didn't pay any attention to him from beginning to end. It was as if Mo Qingyun didn't exist at all. Presumably, in their eyes, Mo Qingyun was just an ordinary disciple of the Ghost Tomb sect and wasn't worthy of their attention. It couldn't be helped. Mo Qingyun looked too young. It was hard for them to imagine that the shocking battle just now was caused by someone as young as Emo Qingyun. After everyone left, Emo Qingyun and Di Jiang chatted for a while before returning to their room. In the blink of an eye, 2 days passed. Today was the day that Deng Xingqing and Di Jiang had a breakthrough in their cultivation and held a banquet for them. The location of the banquet was naturally Di Jiang and Li Qia's residence. At this moment, Di Jiang and Li Qia's residence could be said to be full of jubilation. It was decorated with lanterns and streamers, and many guests had come to congratulate them. In order to entertain these guests, the front courtyard of Di Jiang and Li Qia's residence was currently filled with wine tables and various delicacies, and fine wine had been prepared. Emo Qingyun didn't join in the fun at the front courtyard that was decorated with lanterns and streamers. Instead, he sat alone in the rear courtyard and tasted fine wine. At this moment, while Emo Qingyun was leisurely drinking wine, an old man accompanied by several young men walked into the rear courtyard. This old man's cultivation wasn't low. He had already reached the peak of the half-revered realm, and was only an opportunity away from the Supreme Being realm. Emo Qingyun had some impression of the young men beside the old man. A few days ago, when he and Di Jiang and Li Qia were sparring, these young men were among the people who had been drawn over. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun quickly guessed the old man's identity. He should be Di Jiang and Li Qia's master, Deng Xing. While Emo Qingyun was sizing up Deng Xing and the other party also saw Emo Qingyun in the courtyard and revealed a surprised expression. They truly didn't expect that under such busy circumstances, there would actually be a kid secretly drinking wine here. Audacious servant, why aren't you getting your ass over here and admit your wrongs? Prepare to be punished. After sizing up Emo Qingyun, a green-clothed man beside Deng Xing raised his hand and grabbed at Emo Qingyun. Subsequently, a burst of origin energy erupted from his palm and transformed into a green-colored origin energy eagle claw that grabbed at Emo Qingyun's shoulder. This young man's cultivation wasn't low. He had reached the late-stage 7th level of the God Power realm and was comparable to Di Jiang and Li Qia from before. However, with Emo Qingyun's current strength, he naturally didn't fear an attack of this level. Seeing the rapidly approaching origin energy eagle claw, Emo Qingyun raised his head with an indifferent expression and waved his hand unhurriedly. With a wave of Emo Qingyun's hand, the origin energy eagle claw was easily defeated and disappeared without a trace in midair. After seeing this scene, Deng Xing and the others were shocked. They were surprised by Emo Qingyun's strength. You have some skills. I underestimated you. After a brief moment of surprise, the green-clothed man said coldly and continued, however, with just this little bit of ability, it's still impossible for you to act recklessly in our ghost tomb sect. After the young man finished speaking, he no longer hesitated and was about to attack Emo Qingyun again. Deng Liang, that kid is not simple. Stand down first. Seeing the green-clothed man's action, Deng Xing's expression turned solemn. He raised his hand and waved at him, asking him to stand down. However, the man called Deng Liang clearly didn't think that Emo Qingyun had such ability. After hearing Deng Xing's words, he revealed a disdainful expression and said, Ancestor, you don't have to worry. I only used 10% of my strength just now. To deal with this kid, I only need 30% of my strength. You only need 30% of your strength? After hearing Deng Liang's words, the corners of Emo Qingyun's mouth curled up slightly and a mocking look appeared in his eyes. Chapter 1034. Brat, how dare you look down on me? Deng Liang's expression darkened when he saw that Emo Qingyun didn't even move in the face of his attack. Instead, he sat there calmly and drank his wine. In his opinion, Emo Qingyun's current actions were a form of humiliation to him. Immediately, the veins on Deng Liang's neck bulged as he said furiously, Brat, I don't care what your relationship is with senior brother Di Jiang and the others. Today I will cripple you. Spider Devil Domain. Deng Liang didn't hold back at all when he attacked. He directly used the precious Elephant Divine ability. Under Deng Liang's attack, a huge black spider rapidly condensed in the air above him. PCHT. After the spider formed, it opened its mouth and spat out a black spider web that covered the sky, enveloping the entire backyard. Under the cover of the black spider web, the light in the backyard immediately dimmed. It was like the weather before a storm. Dark clouds covered the sky, forming a dense mass of darkness. Not only that, but under the cover of the spider web, the flow of Yuan power in Emo Qingyun's body was also suppressed. While Emo Qingyun was shocked, the people around him were also shocked when they saw Deng Liang's attack. Spider Devil Domain. I didn't expect junior brother Deng Liang to succeed. Junior brother Deng Liang is worthy of being called a genius. He actually managed to comprehend such a divine ability. With junior brother Deng Liang's technique, even a 9th-level transcendent power expert might not be able to defeat him. Seeing Deng Liang's battle prowess, the youths beside Deng Xing all revealed expressions of surprise and admiration. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Looking at Deng Liang, who was both a disciple and a junior, Deng Xing revealed a gratified expression. After praising him, he said, with the potential that Liang has shown now, when his cultivation breaks through to the half-venerable realm, he will be invincible under the venerable realm. Under everyone's gaze, Deng Liang looked at Emo Qingyun with a gloomy expression and said, "Brat, when you reincarnate as a human in your next life, remember to know your place. A slave should act like a slave." Arachne 8 Bone Spur. As soon as Deng Liang finished speaking, he controlled his heavenly power treasure elephant to attack Emo Qingyun. Under Deng Liang's control, the black spider in the air leaped and attacked Emo Qingyun at an extremely fast speed. Swish swish swish. As the black spider approached Emo Qingyun, it quickly waved its sharp claws and attacked Emo Qingyun from all directions. As the sharp claws moved, a cold light flashed, and it was as if they could even slice through space. Upon seeing this, Deng Liang revealed a smug smile, as if Emo Qingyun was already in his grasp. However, the only thing that made him unhappy was that Emo Qingyun was still calm in the face of such a situation. His attack isn't bad. I can use him for practice. Looking at the black spider that was attacking him, Emo Qingyun smirked and pointed his index finger forward. After Emo Qingyun pointed his finger, the origin energy on his index finger quickly gathered and formed a huge black vortex. Then, the black vortex turned into a huge index finger, emitting a terrifying devouring power. Under this devouring power, Deng Liang's heavenly power treasure elephant and the black spider were instantly devoured. After the heavenly power treasure elephant was devoured by the devouring spirit finger, Deng Liang, who was connected to it, immediately turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, after the devouring spirit finger devoured the black spider, it did not stop attacking Deng Liang. After neutralizing Deng Liang's attack with one finger, Emo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and mocked Deng Liang. "Now, how much of your strength are you using?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's question, Deng Liang was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood and fainted. 9 Ghosts Infant Demonic Ring. Seeing the devouring spirit finger continue to attack Deng Liang, Deng Xing could no longer remain calm and immediately summoned a black ring. After the black circle was summoned, the 9 bells on it began to emit clouds of black mist. After the 9 clouds of black mist appeared, they fused together to form a black infant, emitting a sinister aura. The baby let out a blood-curdling scream as it opened its mouth to bite the devouring spirit finger, revealing rows of sharp teeth in its mouth. Under the constant gnawing of the infant, the devouring spirit finger was completely devoured in an instant and became food for its stomach. However, after the infant swallowed the entire devouring spirit finger, Its stomach was bloated, as if it would explode at the slightest touch. Another treasure? Seeing the power of the black ring, Emo Qingyun revealed a surprised and curious expression. He was a little surprised by the ability of the black ring. Since coming to the subduing demon abyss, this was the second time he saw a treasure, and the surprise it brought him was stronger each time. The abilities of these treasures were far from what the weapons of the Tianhun continent could compare to. 9 Ghosts Infant Demonic Ring Withdraw. As if worried that the infant would explode, Deng Xing saw the infant block the devouring spirit finger and withdrew the 9 Ghosts Infant Demonic Ring. After withdrawing the 9 Ghosts Infant Demonic Ring, Deng Xing nervously came to Deng Liang's side and checked his injuries. "Brat, you're vicious." With a glance, Deng Xing's expression instantly darkened. He gritted his teeth and looked at Emo Qingyun. Because of Emo Qingyun's attack, Deng Liang's heavenly ability treasure elephant was destroyed, and he was now a cripple. Deng Liang's talent was ranked in the top 3 among the younger generation of the Deng family, and he had hopes of becoming a supreme being in the future. Now that he was crippled by Emo Qingyun, Deng Xing couldn't accept this. "Brat, you're courting death." In a rage, Deng Xing didn't waste time talking nonsense with Emo Qingyun and directly attacked Emo Qingyun. However, at the moment when Deng Xing was about to attack, the youths behind him stopped him. "Master, there's no need for you to deal with this brat." "That's right, we'll deal with this brat." "Master, don't worry. This brat won't be able to escape today. We'll definitely avenge Junior Deng Liang." After stopping Deng Xing, the youths were eager to try. They couldn't wait to kill Emo Qingyun to vent their anger. However, Emo Qingyun was still indifferent to their actions. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. Looking at the youths in front of him, Emo Qingyun shook his head in disdain. He pointed at Deng Xing and said, "You guys aren't enough. Let that old man do it himself." When they heard Emo Qingyun's words, the youths were like angry little dogs. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws at Emo Qingyun. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.